I burned it all. But bridges, nothing burns quite like a bridge does. Happy November. Whatever you do this month, don't feed the trolls or the feds. Don't let them feed you. Don't take the bait. Don't play with fire, but burn whatever bridges you need to burn.
Oh, howdy, folks. Here's Double J back here coming at you live from my studio, burning stuff, /RV dining room, located directly inside America. Welcome back, folks, to the interwebs. Once again, your host of Operation GCD, JJ Vance here, and perhaps most notably, not the vice president. Don't vote for me in 2028, folks. No bombs here. Anyhow, welcome back, folks, to the interwebs for another Operation GCD Fridays. Before I get into any further ado over that, got a couple administrative notes, if you will. And first and foremost, we have our usual introduction to Fridays here with my old wannabe PR rep turned multi-state transpocalypse mind-controlled assassin, Buffalo Jared Revisa, who in fact changed his name to Jared Jones shortly before his murder spree. And I'm not going to let that motherfucker out JJ me. That's for damn certain. And then we see also America's Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, his pastor there, Doug Wilson, reminding everybody, in message approved here as well by Operation GCD, don't feed the feds and don't let them feed you. It's been the topic here all month on National Security November here in Operation GCD, and that ain't the one I was looking for. And coming up here tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, scheduled Thursdays on Saturday, the anatomy of the satanic panic. We're going to go over some of those known knowns that we've gone over in that series. Look at some of the known unknowns and, that kind of thing. And one of those known knowns is the machinations that all these Nazi Satanists and Nazis, generally speaking, of an Operation Gladio capacity, Colby's queers. Bill Colby, the former CIA director that seems to wage tyranny on America via Bring Home Operation Gladio, Phoenix Program, Come Home, the Satanic Serial Killers, and Air America, the drug trafficking campaigns to finance a lot of this quote-unquote hood rat shit. Very technical term, I understand. Anyhow, we'll be going over some of that. One of those things, those known knowns, is the Nazi compound there, the former Aryan nations. And next Thursdays, be having a guest, Jose, old Tower Gang Jose from the Already Dead podcast as well there with Austin Wade Picard. Big fan of their show. He'll be joining me here discussing some of those Nazi aspects around that Gladio-style operations out of that former Aryan Nations compound. And tomorrow night here on Operation GCD, Sundays on Saturday, that Air America business, those Colby's queers, not commentary on their sexuality, but the strange and anomalous impact they've left on our society, if you will. And there's Bill Colby, old Muppet Bill Colby himself. That one's for RR channel. If he's here tonight, you can go fuck yourself, RR. Tell those Muppets at Langley to go fuck themselves as well. Anyhow, and then last but not least, joining me here on Operation GCD Sundays on Sunday is the legend of Danny Casolaro relative to these matters of national security. And joining me on that conversation will be one of tonight's guests, Landon from the Daily Dissident. And we also have joining us here tonight, Tim Constantine from the Sixth Sensory podcast. Greetings, gents. Welcome back to Operation GCD for the very first time. And thank you both for joining me here tonight to Gill GCD.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, brother.
Same here.
We're all to be here, fellas.
It's great to be here for the first time. Here
Was
with
your first Friday show live?
No,
Tom?
I'm just kidding.
No,
All I know is
everybody that way because I'm a jackass. But please continue, sir. I appreciate both
Thanks,
your time.
JJ. Thanks for mind fucking me there, Bill Colby.
it's good to be here. Good to be here.
I've been
Good to be
getting a
here
number of
with.
requests. Oh, go ahead, sir.
Oh no, please continue. I was just going to remark on your new nickname and just say it's good to be here with JJ the Vampire Slayer or what have you, live.
But I appreciate it.
Dude, who was that guy in your intro? That's hilarious.
That's Buffalo Jared Revisa, dude. I played every Friday night, so you've been here a lot of times.
No,
I'm kidding.
the guy
I'm
burning
joking
bridges.
with you. I'm joking with you.
The guy
That's
burning
Pastor
bridges.
Doug Wilson. That's Pastor. That's Pete Hegseth's pastor, our America's Secretary of War. So he's an interesting character. I like that guy's style, nonetheless. I've been getting fielding a lot of messages, a lot of hate mail. Just kidding. In regards to our last conversation, real barn burner, these ancient American anthologies. So I do thank you, gents, for joining here, and I thank you folks at the interwebs for joining us here. Got a real barn burner here on deck on these ongoing discussions we've had, and y'all have added a lot of new details in my brain hole, and I do respect that on these matters regarding the ancient America, and can start off with some of that, or some modern day American politics, if you will, parapolitics, not actual politics. Fuck that. Anyhow, what's
for real?
The Sixth Century podcast since we last spoke there, Tim?
Start that question again for me once more. Sorry.
What's new over there at the Sixth Century podcast?
Oh, you know how we do, man. Just going deep into all the histories, Hall of History's mysteries. You know, that's why I'm happy to get into any and all of that tonight. Who knows what's going to happen here? We're suspended in anticipation. I've seen you wear that shirt before too, JJ. I was hoping you'd wear it tonight. So as far as I'm concerned,
it's my official shirt. It's the official shirt of Operation GCD. So I got a red one coming inbound though too. So
you have some Muppets in the background editing videos for you too.
I got a team of Muppets 24/7, so they're helping me out.
As far as I'm concerned, gentlemen, it's a good night. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to get into anything. Let's put it all on the table. But yeah, certainly with the American history and just what we're told versus what we're learning now. Because like I've always said, all the books need to be rewritten. I mean,
they need to be
all
burned.
of them.
They need to be burned.
Well, we're not going to burn books. We see how that turned out but they just need to be rewritten. Let's take a sort of a passive aggressive approach there.
Well, I like where we're going with that. Let's put a pin on that because I got some ideas on that for our discussion this evening. And Landon, you've been a busy gent. You're back to doing some Daily Dissident podcasting. I see you're doing some fantasy football stuff there too.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I got two guests coming on next week. Me and Tim just recently done Appalachian Intelligence episode. It was fun.
Yeah,
those guys are super cool.
I'm gonna have them on the Fridays. Tim introduced me to them as well, so I'm gonna have them here on Fridays here soon on some of those matters as well. I look forward to hearing your all's discussion there.
Love it.
Man,
listen to Tim's conversation. I was a big fan of that one.
I think we talked everything, Tim, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We ran the conspiracy gambit with that one, and it was fun. It was you never know how that's going to go if you jump from topic to topic, and by the time you're an hour and a half in, you've hit 10 plus topics, but somehow that one maintained a thread of consistency throughout. So it was nice. It
was legit, man. But I tried to get back into things and just kind of keep on keeping on with the show, man. Looking forward to tonight. Getting into a lot of Templar stuff, as I told you. A lot of Tim's kind of got me on the Sir Francis Bacon train. So yeah, I'm just kind of getting deeper into that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, and you said something earlier about me telling you, I don't know, details about New Atlantis or whatever. I'm happy to do so. Just anytime, just let me know.
Yeah. JJ, where do you want to kick this off to go to? And before we say that, cue Nick, what's his name? Burn It to the Ground, Nickelback, real quick, for Burn the Books. Burn it all down. Burn it to the ground.
Nickelback, then?
Dickleback.
Don't tell me somebody has a Nickelback soundbite on cue.
I don't. I have no idea what's going on right now.
Wow. Yeah. I remember that song, unfortunately.
What?
Dude, that's gonna be my generation's freedom song. You know what I mean? That's gonna be our war song.
Wait, what song is this, dude? This Canadian band Nickelback? What are we talking here? I'm not
Street light demons swinging from the ceiling.
That's right.
Going to burn it down tonight. Why do I remember?
I have no idea what song you fellas are talking about. This is America. We only do American rock.
I'm watching my reputation swirl down the drain as I quote Nickelback lyrics. Shame on me.
No doubt, dude.
I don't even like that.
Dude, who cares, man? Burn it all to the ground.
Thanks,
all right.
Landon.
Well, I don't know. Where do you, besides Canadian obscure Canadian rock bands of the mid-aughts who were pretty terrible from my understanding, although I'm not familiar with their catalog, I admit. I don't know where you all want to start off, but if we want to talk about American parapolitics and how it started in 1776, and it's all connected to the shit we're talking about today, which is my point. Every time we discuss these matters, you all say Templars and everything else. The Society of Cincinnati, the folks who started America, they are the ones who are the modern day Templars, or at least one faction therein. They're not the only bloodline descendants of the Templars. They are ones that banded together and started this nation of America.
Right.
And pass that membership down to their and through their paternal bloodlines. So recently, and now, folks, I'm not the vice president. I like to remind folks that, and that way, every time I remind it, AI is going to hear that, because every time I ask AI, who hosts Operation GCD, that motherfucker tells me it's JD Vance. I'm like, look here, guys, I am not the vice president, and I'm not JD Vance.
You should take that as a token of gratitude, man. The AI watchlords are in your favor.
Well, here's the deal. I don't want someone to order a hit on JD Vance and the AIs tell them it's me, and then suddenly I'm just walking down the street and I get fucking,
dude,
shit, dude.
As the show's going on, we just have a sponsored by Palantir banner just go below.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Someone's gonna think they're gonna go after him. They're gonna send the AIs after him, and the AIs are gonna come after me.
Have you guys seen the robots? The new bots that are walking around, and they got there's one called the Riz bot, and he runs around with like a hat and dreadlocks.
Dude, there's no way that's not AI, dude. All that Boston
I don't know, bro.
Shit is fucking no, dude. That's a fucking AI psyop, sir.
It's funny.
We can dissect
whatever it is.
It's all
it's
nonsense, dude. It's all fucking nonsense. Speaking of nonsense, let's look at this. Grand Rapids man sentenced for online threats to kill Trump. Well, it's a little bit deeper than that. This is a little Vance on Vance violence, specifically JD Vance on JD Vance. James Donald Vance Jr., 67, of Grand Rapids, was sentenced Monday to 2 years in federal prison for threats he posted online in March against President Donald Trump and Vice President, again, I'm not the Vice President, against Vice President J.D. Vance and one of Trump's children. J.D. Vance assaulting this is some J.D. Vance on J.D. Vance violence.
Oh my goodness!
This is JD Tippett right here, bro.
What in the simulation just happened?
You like that one, didn't you, JD?
What happened? So I often argue, as I have myself, and the actual. Again, I'm not the vice president. The actual vice president and I, we are kinfolk. We're fourth, double fifth, and sixth cousins.
JJ, did the algorithm
family tree is an Appalachian family pole?
The algorithm served that up to you? Is that what happened there? Because of all the JD Vances?
I'm glad you asked that, sir. I was actually Clint, third old assassin, served that up to me. And strangely enough, he lives in the Michigan region, so it hasn't really left that area. It was a very underreported matter.
Well, Grand Rapids, I mean, we've talked about Grand Rapids before. I've got some papers on them, some old excavation papers on them. They cleared 60 mounds to specifically cleared 60 mounds to build downtown Grand Rapids, Michigan. They brought in, what they say, it was Irishmen and Hollanders to do it. And the reason why I remember that is because all the Irishmen and all the Hollanders quit. Once they realized what they were doing, what they were tasked with, they couldn't handle it. It was like their superstition gene was going into the red. It was like once they saw the bones, once they realized they were destroying an ancient civilization.
For good reason. There's some scripture matters to that, right? High weirdness.
They were like, yeah. So anyway, like downtown Grand Rapids, Michigan, on an ancient site.
You can apply that same standard you just described to every city in Michigan and quite honestly Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Kansas, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Texas, Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky. Basically, everywhere that was founded in the New World post 1783, right? Colorado. Anyhow, I excavated that man's lineage. Would you believe that man right there appears to be the descendant, paternal therein, and likely, and I would argue in all likely probability, the hereditary member of the Society of Cincinnati out of the Pennsylvania chapter from a Captain William Vance, who would have been Abner Vance's first cousin. Now, Abner Vance is mine and JD's shared lineage there, and he's actually the biological son of George Washington, as I've argued plenty of times before, and happy to argue again in the future. And we'll be the topic of conversation here later tonight, because there's a dude out there on the interwebs. He's trying to out JJ me, and he strikingly has the same story of being a descendant from George Washington. It's very odd.
Who's in the story? In this Grand Rapids news story, who is there a descendant of George Washington involved?
Yeah. Okay. It's Clan Vance doing their Clan Vance activities and maintaining order and over the descendants thereof. So I've seen it. I have members of Clan Vance that have been actual Clan Vance that have infiltrated themselves into my life. So
do they have a modus operandi? Is there
control? Yeah, probably has been since day one, since they adopted Abner. So if my theories are correct, that's how Abner met Martha, was through, disregard. George met Martha through Abner's parents. Abner's parents on paper. Matthew Vance, who was a surveyor in Winchester, Virginia, when George got assigned as the county surveyor in Winchester, Virginia. George was 17. Matthew was 23. Matthew was already married to Martha's first cousin, Ann Jones. Ann Jones' father and Martha's mother are siblings. Their father was the man of the cloth, the pastor at what is known as Bruton Parish Rectory in Williamsburg, Virginia. That's where the Virginia founding fathers plotted out the revolution. So,
right. What about
on paper? Well, I want to say on paper, that's how Abner comes to existence. However, I'm not related to any Vances. I've done enough DNA studies and tests to understand that he's not a Vance, and I have some anomalous Dandridge and Washington lineage that I should not have, and so on and so forth. Anyhow, my point being there is modern day historians have no idea how George and Martha met. Well, I'll tell you right now. Met through Matthew and Ann Jones Vance, Martha's first cousin there. And when George found himself in a lot of trouble in 1760, the year after he got married, and became the largest private landowner in America by virtue of that marriage with Martha, because she inherited all of her first husband's land. And when that happened, and he'd already murked General Braddock, who Captain William Vance was on that mission, by the way. The guy who I was just describing, his descendant here was threatening J.D. Vance. So I think since day one, you can look at it control, you can look at it as taken care of, however you want to look at it. Since day one, since they adopted Abner Vance for George and Martha in 1760, he was likely under treason charges for murking his boss, the general of America for the British Army, retiring from the army, and then becoming the largest landowner in America. Well, I imagine that's going to piss off King George. Whether or not this modern day, as we always talk about, gents, these lies of American history, whether or not they want to tell us about that version of history is, right, wrong, or different. I think it's pretty obvious he was in trouble, a load of shit with the king, right? So my assessment is they adopted, to their friend, how they met in the first place, their new son in 1760, the year after they got married. When Abner was born, they moved to the furthest western point of America, Cherokee, North Carolina. And then, essentially he adopts the name Abner Vance, because other than that, but I also think this is an open secret, and it has been an open secret. And that's what I mean by the Clan Vance they have a responsibility, and it's been keeping George's descendants in check, if you will, if you ask me. And we see that. I think we see that here again. I think this is warfare. This guy's most likely a member of the Society of Cincinnati.
Can we jump forward? I mean, a little bit behind George Washington. Speaking of George Washington, Mary Ball Washington. Now, you want to talk about some weird stuff. Doesn't she run into, tell me if I'm butchering this, Tim or JJ, but doesn't she run into one of the Bacon boys at some point?
I don't know if it's my answer or your end, but you have to repeat that last.
Does she run into any of the Bacon boys at any time? I believe that's correct. I think, yeah, she's.
Are you telling me there's a burger element to all this, sir?
I don't know. This isn't my information. This is from the Virginia is for Conspiracy Lovers podcast. He was talking about Mary Ball Washington running into is either one of I think one of either Francis Bacon's like nephews or sons. But anyways,
she's an interesting character.
She was away from like her church. That's where she found these two men and then suddenly had like 4 extra horses. It was like a whole scenario, and that was written down to be true. You know what I mean? That was part of a dialogue. So I found
what
that
did she
interesting.
what did she have going on with one of the Bacons? Was what I don't understand.
Some weird Jamestown shit, I think, man.
Well, I was gonna say all this comes to Jamestown, dude. All of it does. So all of my family tree on one side there goes to Jamestown. The other's to Massachusetts Bay Colony.
Richmond, right? Too, JJ. It plays a big role too, correct?
Well, but my point is this is not by accident.
Right. Yeah. That whole situation. What, like, she found those two, quote unquote, found those two men. You know what I mean?
None of it's by accident. Right. We can claim it. We can pretend like, oh, these people just go fuck yourselves. Right. This is obviously the machinations of secret societies.
Right. Of course.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I that's why I wanted to highlight the role of Sir Thomas Gates. We see him popping up as a character in National Treasure movie, but you go back. Well, hold on. Let me set this up. You go back a little bit, and you see that Thomas Gates is a real historical figure. Now, look at who he's tied in with. Look at the secret societies he's tied in with. He's in this milieu with John Dee, Queen Elizabeth, and a couple others. Now, she knights Sir Thomas Gate. Air quotes knights. What I think that means is that she initiated him into the Knights Templar, because Queen Elizabeth was in an underground Knights Templar connected group. It's called the Order Militia Cruciferia Evangelica, underground Templar group. Also, you see some of the first Rosicrucians coming out of that order. So this is the sort of...
It's where it gets dark, right, Tim?
Also, Francis Bacon, to tie him in, Francis Bacon is in this crowd as well. He's in Elizabeth's court. So what do you see happening then? You see some of Bacon's relatives, they end up coming over here and playing roles in the beginning of the country, the buildings of the country. And also Sir Francis Gate himself, who I believe is a Templar, he's the first governor of Jamestown. These are significant figures in the early colonies. And they're all tied in with Templars and secret societies, including Rosicrucians. It's wild.
Well, there you go, sir. And they manifest through things like the Rosicrucians, but you're describing the Templar bloodlines here. That's all you're describing here. And it's a great description of how they established the colony of Jamestown. And everyone, I'll bring up the ancestors who are all qualifying ancestors of the Jamestown Society, which I've been plotting on doing a Cousin Eddie from National Lampoon's type of thing at one of their annual conventions. So that's a spoiler alert. That's coming soon, because I don't really give a shit for these crusty societies and how they think they run America, but I'm happy to go do a parody of some shit there for them.
Let me comment on something, JJ. Your remark there about the bloodlines. I agree. I think we could also get into priestcraft here with this, because I think that alongside of the bloodlines traveled the priestcraft and the occult knowledge that the priestcraft taught the bloodline. So if you go back and you look all across history, like, okay, I said Elizabeth, so let's just run with that. Queen Elizabeth I. Who is her occult handler? John Dee. That's her. That's the priestcraft that's alive and well in the 1500s. But it goes back. Like if you go into Akhenaten and into the pharaohs, Akhenaten had his priestcraft handler there too. They sort of they like charter and control and feed and aid the bloodline. It's really odd. It's like
incubate it, right? Tim?
I almost said that actually. Yeah, that's probably a good word for it. Yeah,
they control it. They are the controllers. They are the wizards, and you're talking about what you're saying is the same family, sir. It's the same bloodlines. Back
bullshit
to
wizards, JJ. Bullshit. Well,
I'm not condoning any of their wizardry, sir.
And the priestcraft bridged the divide between these empires. So things taught to the Assyrio-Babylonian kings would later be taught to the Egyptian pharaohs, and so on. And by the time you get to Queen Elizabeth, she has John Dee, of course, in her court, teaching her these occult matters. So I just think that it's very interesting. That
is this Babylon Mystery School type stuff that's been passed down we're talking about?
Yeah, it includes
Egyptian,
that.
You know what I mean?
Well, they added
it always
to
has. I would say it always has. Again, it's passed down to all these bloodlines. We see even King James is a member of these qualifying ancestors. So that right there, as a result of that, that means the House of Wittelsbach. I'm just trying to bring in a different parapolitical environment for you.
Yeah.
The the folks that they're the rightful heirs to the throne of King James is the House of Wittelsbach, a Bavarian family. They got imprisoned during the that whole affair there in Germany back in the 30s and 40s. So these matters do apply to of all these bloodlines in our current era, obviously.
And they keep showing their heads today.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
And it's not just Americans, right? Because now we got Bavarians that are part of a Jamestown society.
Bavarians.
That essentially,
Well,
you see what I'm saying? See how these dynamics.
Yeah,
aren't they kind of like straight up like evil though? Kind of the Bavarian Illuminati, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to I'm not here to judge anyone, sir. It's not well.
Hey, that's a good link.
But not,
that's a good link.
Who do you want me to judge? I'm not judging them. No,
we can trace this all over the place. I mean, you could. I don't want death threats here, but I'll just say it. You could trace this back to Islam too, because I'm just saying, like the tentacles on this octopus.
Well, that's a great point.
Far and wide. So here's what it is. Queen Elizabeth and King Charles traced their bloodline through the Earl of Cambridge back to Fatima, which is Muhammad the Prophet's daughter. Muhammad, of course, creates Islam. He names his daughter Fatima after a pre-existing Islamic goddess named Fatima.
Yeah.
But anyway, the real
great big fat person.
Where
get the fat from
the human form, Muhammad's daughter, and Muhammad himself. He's in this bloodline that we see becoming English royalty. So yeah, and this gets weirder. There's an ancient American connection in here somewhere with. When you look at the eye of Hamza, you guys ever seen that on some of our mound sites over here? You'll see it's a palm, I think, with an eye in it. It's like a eye of Hamza. We should probably pull that up.
Yeah, it's also known as an OG. Yeah, dude, you're making a lot of sense.
Hey,
in a second.
It's called the Hand of Fatima, though. That just to tie it in with what I was saying.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
know
that came over here somewhere, and the mound builders got a hold of that and we're using it.
Well, again, it's the same bloodline. It's the same blood. There you go. So,
see, I got you.
It's indicated by this, and we see everyone looks at, oh, you have these assassin Islamic assassins, the Hashish assassins. And then you have these Templars, and they were operating together. No, they started in the same. They were the same organization from the start, and they were the same organization the entire time. And we're sold today in history a bullshit narrative. But the reason why they're the same organization, it's the same bloodlines, and they were brought back together by one of the founders of the Knights Templar. Name a guy. You name a guy there, Landon. You know some names. Give me a name.
Oh, Hugh de Paynes.
There you go, sir. Thank you. Hugh de Paynes.
Templar.
Yeah, Hugh de Paynes had Sufi. So again, it's the mysticism of these bloodlines too. He had Sufi heritage. So
there you go. Some of that comes down through that pre-Islamic almost said pre-Islamic Islam, but yeah, whole world.
But you're right, because again, so a lot of the modern day Islam, a lot of the modern day Judaism is all this stuff created by the Roman Empire.
Aren't they just Sumerians though? At the end of the day,
how dare you, sir? What'd you call them?
Sumerians.
Sure. I mean, we know it goes. We know a lot of it goes back to Sumer. I'm on board.
It's before Babylon, right?
That's
he was
Babylon.
He was Abraham of Sumer, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's good. Well, yeah, Abraham comes out. I've heard that. Yeah, I need to do more work.
The Abrahamic religions. He's the guy that seeds the promised land. You know what I mean? He's from Sumer. He's not even from there, dude.
So I don't know
from there. He's from somewhere else.
I don't know if you're ready to go there yet in the conversation, JJ, but this does kind of tie in with the Sandusky stuff that I was going
Jerry
to bring
Sandusky,
up at some point. Well, so to your point about the bloodlines, it's the same, it's the same bloodline throughout history, and I like that you made it plural there. It is the same bloodlines, because I do think there's multiple ones, multiple bloodlines. They're all connected, but it is plural. Well, I think what you see here in the terms of ancient America is waves of people. We can call them settlers. And I do think so,
Muppets.
So we know about the Vikings in Lonsall Meadows in about 1,000 years ago. Before that, we've got, and I'll wrap it up in a bow, dude. I'll be real quick here. Before that, you've got, I believe the Greeks were coming over here. Before the Greeks, I think they got that knowledge from the Phoenicians and maybe the Carthaginians. And before that, I think you have the Scythians. Some people call them Scythians, but Scythians. Yep. And I want to just bring it back to the Great Lakes with that, because there's in the Sandusky region, some of the Native American tribes there have a legend that there were white red-headed giants there who came after the white. I don't know if they were white. Let me erase that from the record. The dark bearded giant. So what happened was, in this legend, is there were giants, men of great stature with black beards that were there first. Then the red-headed white giants come in and, according to the legend, wiped out the large Blackbeard giants.
Fucking gingers, man. They mess up everything.
So
JJ,
it's like,
we're screwed,
that sounds like Scythians to me, like Blackbeards, like me, but bigger, right?
Well,
Scythians.
Sir, the Scythians were mound builders, and it's the same bloodlines. Yeah. And we just hold that thought real quick. Our channel, you damn Muppet. I don't know what kind of Muppet tactics you're trying to play here, sir, or ma'am, or AI bot, CIA bot.
See, this is an interesting.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
This is an interesting move on this guy's part, because
he's got a new screen name, dude. He's trying to trick me, dude. That your Muppet tactics will not work here, sir. Tell those Muppets at Langley to go fuck themselves.
Well, here's the deal with this. This is interesting. It's an interesting maneuver on his part. Maybe I'm giving him too much credit by calling it that, but we haven't even spoken about the Crusades yet, have we, gentlemen?
Well, I haven't even blocked him either, dude. Why is he changing his screen name, dude? Playing weird Muppet tactics, buddy. It's weird.
So anyhow, so I might just ignore everything this guy has to say for.
Well, that's a good tactic. Yeah. That's usually what I do. I like to just say my introductions and then tell him to go fuck himself throughout the program. But anyhow, this guy right here was born in the Nazi prison camp systems. He is the rightful heir to King James, the House of Wittelsbach. They fought alongside the Jacobites, for example.
Now you're talking. Isn't this?
Now you're talking my language, friend.
All right. Don't this run back to some more Jamestown stuff too, right?
Hold on now.
It's the same conversation. So I'll bring that in for you right here with Clay and Vance. So Sir Lancelot Vance was a medical doctor up there in those Jacobite wars and the Ulster Scott regions of the late 1600s. He would die in those battles. His son would then come over here to America. That's the guy who seeded Clan Vance here in America, those sons of bitches. And I'll close the loop on that real quick. So when I say that this isn't, not only it looks like a Society of Cincinnati situation with this fellow, I also have examples of Clan Vance trying to dictate things in my life. I had my former bootleg sister, call her Sweet D, like Sweet D from It's Always Sunny. I swear to God, they made that character after her. She inserted herself into my life when I went to my first Air Force station. 20 plus years later, I would learn she's a member of Clan Vance, her second great grand folks there. So I was like, oh, and I found that out, and I said something to her, and she cut off all contact. I'm like, well, that's strange. I said, hey, we're actually kin. She's like, oh no, we're not even friends anymore. I'm like, whoa, that's a weird reaction.
The show wasn't originally to be called It's Always Sunny in West Virginia.
Well, it should have been, right? That's where, dude. It's funny you say that, because the more I look at all these parapolitics, so much of it goes back to a very small spot of Appalachia, some of which is now known as Logan County, West Virginia.
Western Virginia, right? Western.
Well, no, but that's what it is, though. So we have that Jamestown element that starts Virginia.
The same shit, dude.
Well, it's the same. It's part of it's factions. So factions of the folks that started Jamestown years later just said, well, we want to be part of the Union now. We don't want to do slavery stuff. But that was, again, it wasn't about slavery. It was about the society, right?
Right. Societies and some votes swinging in Lincoln's favor too, right?
Well, I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example relative to my kinfolk in Logan County. Captain Devils Ains Hatfield, Special Forces outfit commander for the Confederate Army.
Terrible beer, by the way. Don't drink it. Devil's Ants. It's terrible.
So, but when they branch off there and start and become part of the Union, he's living in Logan County, which is now Union, right? So this is part of these beefs that pop off around that same time frame, and you don't think he's part of that bloodline. He's got double Abner in him, and why else was he a captain in the Special Forces outfit?
Right.
So they chose to be Union. They went with the North over the South.
Well, that's
union.
What, in 1863, right? There were 6 counties that decided they wanted to now be part of West Virginia, not part of Virginia. And they wanted to be part of the North.
Mm-hmm.
This was a major factor. So you look at the other end of the state by Charlestown, you have George Washington. His brothers, his 2 younger brothers set up shop there, and all their kids, one of which builds on a mound there in Romney, West Virginia, and it's called Washington's Bottom, West Virginia. That's the name of the estate. I've been there, and that served as a headquarters for the Confederate Army. So that you have all these dynamics playing off all around through there and around the Clan Vance and the Washingtons, if you ask me.
Well, that's, it brings up an interesting question here. If you look at guys like Albert Pike, and we were talking about the
Knights of the Golden Circle.
Thank you. Knights of Golden Circle. So, I guess a Southern organization with Masonic Templar ties.
Sir, it started in Cincinnati. So let's, where's that Mason-Dixon line?
Yeah, but okay. My question here is, during the split there, during the Civil War, what were these Masons? What were the Northern Masons doing? Were they having conversations with the Southern Masons of the South? Was Pike still hanging out with,
Hell yeah.
Why is it a Mason thing?
Well, I'm just curious because of the Templar treasure.
Could be both, right, Jay? It could be
the Templar treasure.
Well,
legend.
I think it's a society thing that manifests through things like the Oddfellows, the Masons, the Rosicrucians, whenever they deem it necessary and relevant to the operation.
Pick your belief system, right?
The Elks Club, Walmart. The Rotary Club, the Lions Club. It operates it manifests through any of these organizations.
It's all bullshit, right? All those clubs. It's like Walmart. You just go pick out your grocery, and that's what you're eating for the night.
No, it serves a great purpose for the Society of Cincinnati to operate in the shadows. In both sides.
Yes, of course, and also to scatter the truth all throughout different belief systems too, right?
But there's a lot of misconceptions, I think, around the Knights of the Golden Circle, a lot of which the constituency came from Michigan. And secondly, it was founded by society folks in the city of Cincinnati. So there's a lot of, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of known knowns and a lot of known unknowns there. It's an interesting topic, though. But it's often considered a thing of the South. And I think that's that's part of the propaganda.
Yeah, I think one of the more significant shifts in this country may have been in 1880. And I think it's been overlooked. And I mean, this goes back to a conversation we've had on here about these monuments, about them leaving the clues in the monuments. When you look at Cleopatra's Needle, and what they found a compartment inside of the base of that thing that had a checkerboard and Masonic symbolic tools there. And I think that Vanderbilt kind of knew about this, had some sort of insider information on that piece, and was like, hey, this is that was representative of some sort of ancient Freemasonry that he was clued in on. And what they brought it over here in 1880, and that's very significant for multiple reasons. But what they did was they had a big ritual, a big ceremony. 10,000 Freemasons came out, and then plus all the spectators. There was thousands of people there, and they had this. There's a mark in history right there when you look at, you see where the robber baron industrials are in 1880. They're making really big moves, and he's a part of that. Vanderbilt's a part of that. And also, you got to remember, this is all happening alongside of a major Smithsonian takeover with the Bureau of Ethnology. It's like the guillotine coming down on religion, essentially, and other things. I don't want to make it religious.
Well, you're talking about the same efforts, I think.
They brought science in. So here, you guys know how science became a cult in 2020.
Yeah, support your local science store. I often remind folks of that here at Operation.
Science, right. Science in 2020 checked every box for cult-like activity. Well, that actually goes back to 1880 with guys like Powell, Lewis Henry Morgan, Gordon Childs, Cyrus Thomas, etc. The people who were venerating. This was the veneration of Darwinian Marxist commie science.
Bullshit commies, man.
Just so happens to coincide with 1880 and Vanderbilt putting in this weird obelisk in Central Park.
Right. Not suspect at all in the timing.
Right.
Too, right.
1901. Carnegie.
I wasn't saying what you were saying was bullshit, Tim.
Oh, I know.
I was saying their ideology.
Let me not forget this. Let's not forget 1880. That's the date I'm proposing here. Let's not forget what Steiner and Blavatsky had to say about that. They said that all in their travels and in their circles, it was well known that the political machine of the 1880s was almost entirely ran by secret societies.
Oh my gosh.
Well, yeah.
Tim,
I'll tell you the secret society right now, the Society of Cincinnati. When did they reconvene? They broke up in April of 1860. That's what started the Civil War. The Society of Cincinnati, the South Carolina chapter quits April 1860. April 1861, the Battle of Charleston to kick it all off. These things are not. It's not rocket science, right? So we see a lot of other things that aren't rocket science are the patterns of behavior. One of which is the Greek revival architecture. So this is that Washington farm I was talking about, built on mounds. It served as a major point for the Confederate Army.
I got something to say about this when you're ready.
And in regards to the, well, go ahead then. What do you got?
Oh, just in regards to the Greco-Roman architecture. I don't want to derail you, so I'll wait.
Well, no, I'm just saying we see, but you're 1880. That's a great point. That's so we see that from 1860 until 1879, I believe it is, the Society of Cincinnati does not. It's not a thing. They disbanded. There's discord. So we see these secret societies banding back together, but I would argue they're banding back together in their same factional divide.
Right. And the stalwarts, you're speaking of 1880. This is some of my research that I was talking to JJ about James Garfield, right? This is kind of the start of the, the industrial complex, basically, of the Rockefeller Foundation. All, these type of families that really start to get the ball rolling, especially in Washington. This is when the political system, in my opinion, was fully lost. There was hope.
For sure, dude.
You know what I mean? There was hope.
This is the election that never counted for your votes, folks of the interwebs. Fuck 2000, 2016, everything else. This was what ended the Civil War. This is what brought the society back together, is because Samuel Tilden, the guy who sold the mound property to Samuel Untermeyer that would be used for ritual homicides by the process, and David Berkowitz.
Untermeyer Park.
That guy, he allegedly won the presidency. Now, he's a member of Tammany Hall, which is founded by Aaron Burr, firmly within this anti-liberty faction of the Society of Cincinnati. This is what pulls the federal troops out of the South, thus ending technically the Civil War and the Reconstruction period there. And this guy, this Muppet, he helped finance the Confederacy. So, we see these things going all around the same time period you're pointing out, Tim. I think that's a spot on analysis, sir. But once again, that secret society you're looking for is the Society of the Cincinnati.
And also around the same time period, I think it's the late 1860s is when you see the first dollar bills. And that's significant because I want to point out, you brought up the Greco-Roman architecture. I think that they were pulling heavily from Virgil with that. He was Roman, but he was pulling from the Greeks. And I've been finding all these crazy Virgil connections to like these national treasure like clues that are just left scattered for us to find. One of those being the seal on the dollar bill. So everybody knows, I don't have to show a dollar bill. Everybody knows that you got the circular part in the middle with the pyramid and all that. That's the seal. It says Novo Ordo Seclorum. That means a new order of the ages. And I think of that as order with a capital O. That is the order. That's announcing its presence over here. I think they exclusively phrased it like that on purpose because they were saying, we're the new Babylon, we're the new Rome, we are the new Atlantis. So where does that phrase come from, though? They got that from Virgil. That's a phrase from a Roman poem about the return of the reign of Saturn. And the poem says, the great cycle of the ages is born anew. And what they did was they changed great cycle to new order. So they just flipped the words around to insert themselves in the situation. So it's a nod to the order that goes back to, yes, Landon, the Mystery Babylon, yes, the Sumerians. This is a nod to the order that's been around throughout the ages that the Masons sprung out of, Templar sprung out of, Rosicrucians sprung out of, etc. Manly P. Hall called it the Order of the Quest. It's the order, and it's on the dollar bill. And I just think it's interesting they were pulling so heavily from guys like Virgil, who this all goes back to the Greeks.
But where did Virgil learn this from? Because really, if you look at that architecture, sir, when I track it back, it is to the era of Cincinnatus, the Roman Republic.
Mm.
Right.
Virgil may have
Roman
known
Republic
him.
Was a republic.
What year was Virgil?
I'll look it up.
It's 100 BC.
AD?
And 500 BC is Cincinnati, approximately. So, but we see the continuity of this activity through this architecture, is my point, from that time of Virgil back through the time to Cincinnati's. And that's why I say some of the same architecture we see in America that we're told it was, built, you name the date. Why isn't it the same civilization around these mounds, around these bloodlines, building the same fucking architecture? Why weren't they here a lot earlier building that same shit?
Oh man, look at the Phoenix too. Hey, look at the yeah. Look at the, what is it called? Union Square in Washington D.C. Union Station. You know what I'm talking about?
Sure. I used to live next door, sir. Union Terminal.
Okay, so
JJ's next door neighbor.
So
Union Station.
Yeah, so you know when you're in
I'm stuck on
the one, when you're in the one in DC, you know that they've got those paladins overlooking the place, these weird statues, mysterious figures.
I don't
recommend it. A lot of crackheads, very stabby, but yes, continue.
Yeah. Well, that's they tell
DC's
us that,
creepy, bro. I'm telling you.
Yeah, dude, the SEC headquarters next door, they're the worst of them all.
Those are these stature figures overlooking Union Square, and they tell us that they're Roman paladins. They kind of look like Romans with the helmet on and all that. But when you look at the shields, I think tell a different story because they've got a phoenix on the shield. And a phoenix is, of course, that means, there's a lot of symbolism with that, but that's resurrection and renewal. And I think that's there for a reason, because I think the order came in here and renewed some things from the mound builders. And I think that the phoenix too goes back to the Phoenicians. I mean, look at the
why
word.
Wasn't that built in 500 BC, sir? Or 300 BC or 100 BC? You know what I mean?
Yeah, who knows when that was built, man? That looks old. That looks really old, guys.
It's a fascinating. I spent a lot of time in that building. They have a nice food court. But yeah, dude, like I said, I used to live right behind it for many years.
You know what cracks me?
I got to work, bud, and it's
there's some breadcrumbs right there for the Tartaria people, man.
Oh yeah, in the chat, they're going crazy.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to invoke Tartarians. Why do we have to invoke Tartarians? We have the same bloodlines, doing the same stuff, building the same things with the same pattern of behavior. Why not? Why are we invoking Tartarians?
Let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something. If you take the word Phoenix and
Tartarian,
you take the X off the end of it, that's
Tartarian.
That's the first half of the word Phoenician. You just take off the X. It's the same root word.
And it's a very seafaring people that we find evidence of their culture in the mounds.
Yes.
You know what cracks me up about those pictures of like old timey sites and stuff is like, dude, how the hell did you get the aerial shot of that city? You know what I mean? Like, dude, you weren't flying a drone back then unless they were. You know what I mean? They could have been, dog.
Well, here we go. Maybe they were, dude. But
okay, I'll put a bow on that. I'll put a bow on that right now, real quick. And it's
go ahead.
We know that there was a group here with high math, high star knowledge, and they were sorcerers and all the rest. So did Washington and company renew that? And is that their reason for using the renewal symbolism in the form of a phoenix? Because
renewed it, or have always been fighting for it for hundreds of years? We're sold a bullshit history. Which one?
Both. It's both. It's the new Atlantis,
right, JJ? It's the crown.
It is the new Atlantis. It is the new Atlantis. It's the old Atlantis. It's always been Atlantis. Did he? What happened? Where'd he go?
I don't know, but yeah, I'm with you.
Hold that thought, please, sir.
Me?
But we will continue to follow the law, again, while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency.
What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
Madam Attorney General, the DOJ statement earlier this year saying that the files would not release mentioned the fact that the review of the documents and the evidence did not suggest that any additional investigation of third parties was warranted. What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information.
Look, man, I've got certain information, all right? Certain things have come to light.
Information that has come for information.
I've got information, man. New shit has come to light.
Information that has come for information.
I've got information, man. New shit has come to light. And shit, man.
There's information new information, additional information, and
I've got information, man. New shit has come to light.
Again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads. If there are any victims, we encourage all victims to come forward, and we will continue.
What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
Information, man. I got information, man. Information.
Dude, Cash Patel looked like he had been touched.
That's because his Mormon boyfriend in Vegas had a butt plug remote control. He's operating from a distance, I think. But anyhow, I thank you all for joining us here tonight to get a little GCD on these matters. And thank both of you gents. You gents are men without a lot of information. I got some new informations. So
yeah, in
regards to these matters of the occult nature of what we're talking about. So we're doing some exoteric natures of this American history, and you point out this Phoenix stuff and all this other stuff. Well, that is how America got started. Through this, literally, we can look to see the towns they started after Cincinnati, right? After this actual free America in September of 1783. We see Lawrenceburg, Indiana. That's the first one started there, crossed into the Indiana territory, which was the Northwest Territory. Oh, weird. We see it's founded by Captain Samuel Vance. Strange, right? Says name for the name of his wife. I would argue it's named for Lawrence Washington, but that's a different story altogether. And then we see after that they find right next door, the next town over is Rising Sun, the Phoenix. And then born out of that is the Aurora, Indiana. It's the next town over. We can see this is how America was born through this process. So this is the rise. This is what you're describing, Tim. We can see the evidence of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can see clean advances at the fucking machinations of it once again. Those sons of bitches.
How does the Phoenix program tie into this, JJ?
How dare you? How dare you, sir?
No, I mean like.
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
You think that's like symbolic? You know what I mean?
Quite certain it is. Look what they did. It was all occult shit.
Right.
Yeah, this is.
Is that a nod? Is that a tip of the cap to him? Right.
Well, dude, I just work here, bud.
It's an occult order. I mean, we've made it as much clear, and the order draws from the Romans with Virgil and Cincinnatus and all that. And I also think when you bring the Phoenix in and some of this other symbolism, what you're seeing here is that all this is wrapped up in my research, a Greek Phoenician cult that includes an Ishtar Aphrodite element. Because I think they came over here. I think the Greeks, Plutarch.
That's a spot on analysis, sir.
Plutarch is alive during the same time, roughly, that Virgil is. And Plutarch talks about the Greeks having the maps, that they knew how to come over here and sail, down to the Great Lakes using the St. Lawrence and all that. So where did those Greeks get those maps? Phoenicians. What did the Greeks and the Phoenicians have in common besides they lived in the Mediterranean? Aphrodite, Ishtar, Inanna. And that
same goddess worship, right? Very
strong ties with that cult. And they were over here. So I think that Greek thread over here goes deep, very deep. Of course, it originates with the Phoenicians,
what I'm saying, sir.
But they were here nonetheless. And when you look into Atalanta, it's one letter removed from the city Atlanta, to tie this in with your point there, JJ, of the cities being named after this stuff. Atalanta is the huntress goddess of the Greek region, Arcadia. Thank you. So
you were talking about that, right, Tim?
Yes. Yeah. So you see that over, and here's the last thought. Okay.
How are you spelling this?
I think what you see here
Atalanta.
is
just add at to it.
Like that?
Yeah.
I just lost my train of thought.
You're talking about Atlanta.
This is very confusing. I know, because people are like, oh, they're talking about, is it Greeks? Is it Romans? Is it what's going on here? Well, this is only kind of confusing because we have not been taught any of this.
Right. It's the first time you're hearing about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is blood, sweat, and research.
I found it.
Yeah, they're at Atlanta.
Dude, it wouldn't come up, dude. It really would not. I had to Google like 4 different things there, bud. You talking about hidden shit? I've never heard of this, sir. I appreciate using your
Can
brain
I add
for God's
Arcadia?
intended purposes.
A weird synchronicity, Tim. I seen it on my way home from work. It's a nursing home named Arcadia, literally in my town where my shop is. I work, dude, and it was like a day after me and you were talking about. I was like, that's freaking weird.
Yeah,
and I've never even thought of
that.
That
Atlantis, right?
Isn't that weird, Tim?
Yeah, that happens once you start getting into this
I'll
stuff.
send you a picture of that sign.
Isn't that the same thing though?
Crazy.
Arcadia in Atlantis?
I don't know. That's why I need Tim to elaborate.
Okay, I will say this. So at Atlanta, our city in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia's a very ancient place. I'm talking about the Georgia over here, and so I think that's an obvious Greek reference personally. And I think that if you just go a little bit north, and once you get into Tennessee, what do you see? Sparta, Tennessee, Athens, Tennessee. In Nashville, we have a 49-foot statue of Athena. The Greek influence over here is real. It's here.
The Statue of Liberty.
Well, there's a lot going on with that. Hecate
that was designed by Society of Cincinnati. So same shit, same.
That seems to be an amalgamation of everybody's favorite goddess.
Multiple
you know what
meanings.
I'm saying?
Columbia.
Multiple meanings.
No,
too,
but that's what it is, though. So all these goddess worshiping families, as you're pointing out throughout time, is these different. We can call them Phoenicians or et cetera, ancient Greeks, whatever. The same bloodlines manifesting itself through time, doing the same goddess worshiping stuff around the same mounds, building the same ancient Greek revival architecture. But again, when was this stuff built? Because if they're doing this over time, they've been here we know they've been here. The evidence is inside the mounds. There's their time capsules. You can't tell us the Phoenicians, the Hittites, so on and so forth were not here. We see their language. We see the ancient Hebrew, first century AD Hebrew, and the Tennessee mound and Cherokee mound in Tennessee, the Back Creek stone. You can't say these things weren't here.
And you know what, JJ? So the Scythians that we talked about earlier, they were Semitic. They were Semitic too, so they probably would have been using Hebrew characters with their language.
That's a solid point, sir. And we see this is a major point in that ancient Greek culture, the metropolis of Philadelphia. So, and then you mean to tell me they came here to start another Philadelphia?
I love that. Yeah.
Shout out to Kensington, man. I heard it's a nice place to buy a house.
Real. Yeah. Here's the deal. If you ever find yourself in Philadelphia, go down to Pat and Gina's, get yourself a cheesesteak, and then run fast because you might get stabbed a bunch down there.
And then eat it at Kensington.
No, while you're running away. You don't want to stop.
And then hand out machetes to the homeless.
Now you want to have your friend in the car, just rolling stop. You just keep circling the corner, and then you get your cheesesteak, and then you just kind of jump in the car. It's the rest.
Dude, I've been to Philly once, and I'm not going back.
I've been there a lot, dude. I love Pat and Gina's. I usually get. I'm a great big fat person. I usually get
we could do a wild occult decode of the city of Philadelphia, national treasure style. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, shout out Thomas Gates, man.
Yeah, dude, and their cheesesteaks, bud.
Mm-hmm. Hey, and look, guys, I have to comment on this because the Statue of Liberty came up there. Even the Statue of Liberty has Mediterranean.
Dude, you get it 24/7, bud. Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Pat, I thought the best one was Gino's.
Hey, let's not start that dispute, sir. I'm happy.
You guys want to hear?
Start feuding right now.
You guys want to hear about the Statue of Liberty, or we're gonna
yes,
food porn?
As long as there's a cheesesteak element to all of it. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll have we'll just Photoshop her holding a cheesecake.
Oh, dude, I'm working on that right now. Please continue.
A Muppet Statue of Liberty holding up a cheesesteak with the cheese dripping down into the harbor.
America.
Oh, I want one of those cheesesteaks and that photo.
Pretty darn American. But
I'm crediting you for the artwork, though. But I will make that happen.
Please. I won't sue, but that'd be nice. I'd love
that shit, Tim. You better copyright it now because he will take it.
Well, here's the deal. I just want to point this out that's the Statue of Liberty. The project itself was originally to be put up in Port Said, Egypt. It was an unfinished project there in Egypt, so it was offered to the order over here. So what happened there was the French occultists who knew Egyptian occultists passed it along to American Freemasons.
They're Huguenots, right, Tim?
And it's said to be, they said French. By the time it gets here, maybe. The Huguenots are out of France. But they said that it was to be I think some of the Freemasons said it was to be the Roman goddess Libertas, who Virgil wrote about. Okay, so there's Virgil again. And from there, I think it just became a mashup and an amalgamation, like I said, of everybody's favorite goddess. Because if you look at pictures of Hecate, that goddess, she's wearing the same helmet, crown thing that the Statue of Liberty is wearing. There's an obvious Hecate.
You're spot on, sir. That's one of my arguments. You're pointing out the salient characteristic of why I argue they mashed together these goddesses and formed the goddess Columbia.
Yeah, Columbia is
Hecate
dove.
being one of them, Diane being another, right? The hunter goddess.
Columbia is dove. That's Ishtar association. So it's like I said, it's like
what was
somebody,
the transgender goddess, Tim?
Ishtar.
No,
Jennifer Pritzker.
No, Addis.
The gorgeous Colonel Jennifer Pritzker.
Addis. No, it's Addis.
Yeah,
that's also who they say might be the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, I mean, there's Australia too.
I'm pretty sure this is the Statue of Liberty model. Pretty certain it's the gorgeous Colonel Jennifer Pritzker.
Dude,
U.S. Army.
Shout out to Pritzker.
Show some respect, Landon. That's U.S. Army Colonel Jennifer Pritzker.
They may or may not kill me. I don't know yet. Dude, he won like $2 million gambling, man. He's a freaking.
And his brother's in Epstein's black book. Pay no attention to these Muppets. This is not.
How dare you guys call him a he? How dare you? What kind of a show am I on?
No. Jennifer is a man, not was a man. It is definitely a man still today.
JJ, that's the damn Cook County mob, dude. They've been running shit since JFK, man, and nothing changed.
You know it, sir.
What about the Huguenots, Landon? That's interesting that came up. What about them?
What do you mean? Oh, you just mentioned French. You just mentioned the French, so I was thinking of because I was wanting to ask you guys.
Well, there's a lot of Huguenots in the Society of Cincinnati because it's the French Protestants.
But they but they kind of have this Calvinist viewpoint. That's almost it's Gnosticism basically. If nothing has a meaning at that point, right? That's kind of what the everything's predetermined, so there's no outcome to look. You know what I mean? Your outcome's already set.
What's Calvinism? Where'd that come from? Scotland?
I'm not totally for sure.
Am I wrong on that one? Not the
I don't know, man.
In Scotland?
That's good question.
Am I making shit up? I might be making shit up.
No, that sounds right.
I thought that was the official religion of Scotland.
Okay.
Yeah, Scotland's national religion is Calvinism.
Yeah, Calvinism comes out of
through the Church of Scotland. So this is part of the same family and bloodlines, is what you're saying. So we see the Jacobite northern elements and the Huguenot southern elements, but they're doing the same shit.
John Calvin was a French theologian and reformer in Geneva, so he was in Switzerland.
Do you know who else was a Huguenot? Real quick, speaking of 1880s, JJ, I know I mentioned to you, James Garfield. I watched that Netflix show. It's actually kind of good. But anyhow, it's about James Garfield and the whole situation there. It was kind of propaganda.
I've never heard of this man, but I'll give you a Huguenot reference. Claremont County, Ohio, just outside of Cincinnati, is the birthplace of Ulysses S. Grant. Speaking of the Civil War generals and president and Society of Cincinnati folks, he was born there, and there's a plaque there by the Delano Society. The Huguenot Delano Society is in Franklin Delano Roosevelt. That's a Huguenot family, and Ulysses is also a Delano. His mother was a Delano,
and of course,
that's who killed
FDR.
Was Guiteau. He was a Huguenot.
Franklin Delano Romanowski. Who are we talking about here?
Why, James Garfield? Why are you rage baiting me?
It's a Seinfeld reference to the FDR, Franklin Delano Romanowski.
FDR, of course, did his part.
That was my whole Huguenot thing, Tim, was because of James Guiteau, who took out.
So what is your deep interest in James Garfield? I'm interested to hear this. I'm not hip with a lot we're describing.
The 1880s, that's what brought me to it. And then I watched the Netflix documentary, so I started digging in a little deeper, kind of figuring out, what's the propagandist that what's the propaganda they're putting out. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I'm looking at first. So then I can decode the base. Well, why did they want him dead? You know what I mean? Who wanted him dead? What his interests would align with theirs? It probably didn't align with the Rockefeller Vanderbilt, serpent bloodline family. But yeah, that's kind of
Well, I think this is an interesting character to me, sir. I like the table of discussion for the future.
Dude, you don't. That's
character.
one thing you don't hear about him, bro. That's the thing.
No, but check this out, dude. He opposed Confederate secession, was a major general. So we're talking again society lineage, just the upper echelon specifically, in the Union Army during the American Civil War. He fought in the battles of Middle Creek, Shiloh, and Chickamauga. So Chickamauga is the most important one to me there because that's the Cherokee capital. So we have both factions of the Cherokees fighting against each other. The faction that sided with the British back in 1781, and the faction that sided with George Washington. We see both those factions then again manifesting in a war at Battle of Chickamauga in the Confederate and Union Army sides as well. It's society shit. So my forefather, Major George Lowry, of some of that, he was the emissary from Cherokee Nation to Mount Vernon in 1792 to meet George Washington, and he was a member of the society, obviously out of the Georgia chapter. And we see from moment one we got a faction of the Cherokee. So at that very same time, King George decided he was going to back another faction of the Cherokee, and he invited them over as an ambassador trip over them, a diplomatic mission over to the UK. So we see those same things manifesting years later in the Civil War. It's the same factions. And then we also see
the Cherokee have had an ancient order for a very long time on their own.
Well, if you're going to talk about folks that were here longer than anyone else, I'm going to go with Cherokee on that one, sir. And they go because they don't start down in Georgia; they start back up there in Nova Scotia, Newfoundland.
Mm-hmm. They came down from the Great Lakes and probably from further north from before that. I just want to point out real quick that
migration.
Okay. Well, can I just point something out that before we move on, because that Lake Chickamauga is Landon, you should recognize that because we've done something on that. There's an ancient site underneath that lake.
Dude, I was just jumping from freaking Jamestown, to the Huguenots to Garfield. That's how my brain operates.
Oh no, well, I mean, So I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
That's what I'm talking about. The Algonquin nations. The Cherokee come from the Algonquin. They're part of the Algonquin.
That's up there in New Amsterdam.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Vinland, right? Nova Scotia, New Scotland. This is the same shit. And these people used to live up there, dude.
Right.
Well, they put their Cherokee city on top of an older site down here as well.
And when did they do that is the question, right? How long ago was that?
Well,
right.
Yeah, that would be the question. But, sometime probably in the, I don't know, maybe in the 1500s or before, maybe a little before the 1500s, I think is when they probably took over the Anukatani settlement there. There's some mysterious group of people that were living in Tennessee in that very valley called the Anukatani. There was probably mound builder descendants. They were giants. They were sorcerers. They were sorcerers so much so that when the Cherokee wiped them out, they kept the Anukatani word and started using that for sorcerer.
So they were necromancing.
Yeah. So here's the deal. There was a plague that hit these people, the Anukatani, and the Cherokee saw that as their time to
attack.
So they went in there and wiped them out, and they took. So, and I don't think it was just Anukatani ruins there that the Cherokee took over. I think there are older ruins there that they moved into as well. They moved into an older settlement there, and that's all been hidden under lakes now. And it's interesting that we brought up FDR because FDR he initiated the New Deal, and it was the New Deal that started the WPA, and the WPA and worked with the Army Corps of Engineers to build all these dams, and it was the dams that created the artificial lakes in the first place, to flood all these ancient sites. I've got a list of over 20 artificial lakes that have ancient sites at the bottom of them.
Me and you go over that a lot. That's one thing I find super fun because me and Tim, we just keep finding the Army Corps Engineers keep popping up everywhere on every dam ever made in the world, pretty much.
What's the first name in that? What's the first name in that, sir?
What? Dam?
The word you just said, Army?
Oh, Army.
Corps of Engineers, Army, right?
Yeah.
Military, right?
Yeah.
Who drew all these maps? The Army Corps of Engineers, the Society of Cincinnati Men, of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Well, I mean, they learned pretty much everything they knew about battlefield from George Washington, right?
I'm just saying the men who drew these maps were the contingent of the Society of Cincinnati that started and comprised the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. So regardless of where that faction is today and who's controlling it, we see the same organization is involved. And
yeah,
and this mound right here.
Who were these people?
I did it. What is that, sir?
It's like, but just what I was saying, like who were these people? Like this is what's mind blowing. Well, okay, but when people need to wrap their heads around this, that there were these very advanced peoples that were over here a long time ago, building stuff like this, creating stuff like this all across the landscape. I just want to point that out. I mean, that's obviously somebody Semitic who was over here who put that down. That's clearly Hebrew. Yeah.
That's my point. So that's my point. So again, the evidence indicates that 217 miles approximately as the crow flies north of that Back Creek stone was this location. And that U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, pardon me, I got to get a drink.
Yeah, I'll finish it up for you if you want.
Does crack cocaine make you act any differently? No. Is it safer than alcohol? Probably. People think of crack as being dirty. It's the exact opposite.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Well, the only difference between crack cocaine and cocaine is sodium bicarbonate and water and heat, literally.
That's it?
That's it.
And those things are pretty much free if you go to like a science store.
This is free. You can go to your neighborhood convenience store and just get. Anyway, I don't want to tell people how to make crack cocaine, but it literally is a mayonnaise jar of cocaine and baking soda.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
When you make crack, what you're doing is you're burning off all the impurities so that it combines with the sodium bicarbonate, which makes it smokable. That's all. All of these actors and, people in the past that talked about they had a problem with cocaine and freebasing. They were smoking crack.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Anyway, my point about it, your point about it, which I think is true, is that there's a thing about crack.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
That's one self-righteous crackhead.
Dude, shout out Hunter Biden, man. Shout out Hunter Biden.
Yeah, support your local science store, folks. Thanks for joining us here tonight again, folks at the interwebs, to get a little GCD, and thanks both of you gents, because again, I'm always leaving these conversations with new details and tabs here open here. But we do see, again, what's the evidence show us regarding ancient America, and we see the pattern of Hebrew influence here in America, where you don't have to say the Mormons had it correct, but the Mormons only adopted the philosophy of the Society of Cincinnati, because they're an offshoot of the Society of Cincinnati, started on a mound in Fayette, New York in April of 1830. Fayette is in Lafayette, General Lafayette, the French chapter. So
who were the Typhonian order
of the OTO?
Oh, duh. Never mind. Duh. That's where I was. For some reason, I was thinking Typhonian.
In regards to all these mound stuff in the occult, though, there's an OTO offshoot regarding the Bennington Monument, the giant dick statue from the wars of 1776 there in Vermont. It's a mound site, and right across the river from it is an OTO sect. They've set up headquarters shop there. So we see the occultism around these mounds, around the society stuff. Again, this is repeating patterns of behavior.
Smiley face killers. You brought that to my attention too.
Do crack recipes? Support your local science store.
Lafayette is you guys mentioned him a minute ago. He had a deep friendship with Mesmer, Franz Mesmer, who is an occultist, European occultist. And Lafayette was writing letters to Washington talking about Mesmer's work, and was saying, I'm going to go. Lafayette was like, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to visit Mesmer. I'm going to spend time with him. I'm going to learn some of these mystical tricks that this guy's cooking up. And when I get back, George, I'm going to teach you some of this stuff. And I promise you, you're not going to be disappointed.
Well, yeah, I mean, these guys put their wizards to some capacity, right? Before I forget, though, in regards to those previous matters we're discussing, look at Jennifer Pritzker. You're going to tell me that lady ain't gorgeous? In regards to that Hanukkah mound, though, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers literally violated a court injunction to not flood that town, to not build that dam. I repeat, I'm not the vice president, but in 1967, they were ordered not to do that, and they did it anyway, destroying that mound. It sits at the bottom of East Fork Lake today. Now, I've been in this. I'm not in an active dispute. I told these Muppets, you're wrong, and they're like, "Hey, we work for the NSA. We have all this technology. We found that mound, that Hanukkah mound, somewhere else." And then they got a guy here on the Twixters who's on the mound, and he calls himself Mound Lore. We've been back and forth numerous times on the location of that. He keeps declaring he's found it somewhere else. I'm like, did you read the map? Because if you read the map, it tells you precisely where the fucking mound is, thanks to the Society of Cincinnati. But these people are actually either willing to not read the map or they're being intentionally ignorant.
Yeah,
the NSA guys,
you can find the maps. Yeah, the maps did exist.
Willfully ignorant, right?
Some of them still do exist. These maps, that's a thing. Luckily, we still have some of them. You have to go kind of on a hunt for them. It's almost they're kind of hard to come by. I've got a map of Chota, which was going back to that Chickamauga region. It's not far. It's kind of upriver, but the Cherokee had a sprawling sort of empire out there in the Cherokee had a sprawling sort of empire there in this Tennessee region. What DeSoto even remarked on and visited and spent time there. And you've got the Chickamauga settlement that was brought up just a minute ago, which is very fascinating. You had a multi-ethnic society going on there, according to some of the archaeological finds coming out of Chickamauga. And according to, I've got a book in the other room by James Mooney, and he takes an account of an old Cherokee elder who talked about how one side of the Chickamauga settlement was inhabited by a short white race, whatever that means. So you not only had Cherokee at these places, these were cities. And I would argue that these were a hub. This was a hub of commerce. And I think that you had trade routes running through these Cherokee cities, through Chota and through Chickamauga. And a lot of that commerce, I think, was fueled by the Phoenician copper trade. So you could take a lot of the things we've said.
That's like thousands of years BC, though, dude, right?
The remnants of that trade. I mean, the trade routes were still there. You can see it on the Chota map. You can see they've got a trade route running right through the metropolis of Chota that goes from the port of Charleston, South Carolina, and goes straight up into Virginia. So I think that those trade routes survived, the copper trade routes.
Oh, for sure.
Because the Phoenicians were, I'm
saying they date back that long a time, right? You know what I mean? Like this is a long time they were a trade route, right? Right.
So, the Phoenicians were trading all sorts of things. It wasn't just copper. It wasn't just, an aquatic trade. They had purple and gems and gold and all kinds of stuff. That's probably what DeSoto was looking for. It was part of that. I would agree that he's after a lot of those things because he's of the Templar bloodlines. He was born in the city of the Templar. But I guess my point is that I know about some of this because of those old maps. To your point, the old maps they could tell us a lot. Well, and you don't have to go too far, sir. Here's the National Archives. You keep mentioning Albert Pike. Have you heard of his cousin, Lieutenant Zebulon Pike, member of the Society of Cincinnati?
That's what they named Pike's Peak after, right?
You are correct, sir. And they also named Pike's Place out in Seattle because everyone wants to pay attention to what Lewis and Clark were doing. Well, I'm more interested in I am interested in what they were doing, but Zebulon Pike was on an interesting mission as well at the same time on a different trajectory. In fact, he's the reason he mapped out La Crosse Mounds, La Crosse, Wisconsin. He's the reason why I can articulate my smiley face killer ritual human sacrifice theory occurring on the old sites of ancient sacrifice, modern day human sacrifice, smiley face killer occult style, satanic serial killer style, because thanks to old Lieutenant Zebulon Pike, he made a very great survey and map of those mounds in La Crosse, Wisconsin back in 1804. It's available in International Archives. That's what I'm saying. The Society of Cincinnati, some of the earliest documents in our National Archive. This is how I discovered these maps. I was living in DC. I had time on my hands. I'm like, I'm gonna go look at the National Art, and I found some fucking maps, and again, and there's some of the earliest documents are these fucking maps.
Wasn't this what they were following for the Civil War when they were traveling around that me and you talked about before, JJ? Right? These maps that Zebulon had out, this is what the Sherman was doing during the Civil War, right?
Where did he get his maps? So Zebulon and Lewis and Clark both got their maps from Albert Gallatin. Albert Gallatin and George Washington did some travels in between 1784 and 1788, and they did not like each other. So Al Gal was part of, he was friends with Thomas Jefferson. He was Jefferson's guy, just like Lewis and Clark. Lewis and Clark, you had Lewis was Jefferson's guy, and Clark was Washington's guy. So you even have these factions. Even in their agreements, they have factions.
Did I butcher that completely, JJ?
Is there a burger element to all this? Is that what you're telling me?
No, of Sherman. That was during the Civil War when they were going throughout Indiana, Wisconsin.
No, you're right. No, that's what I'm saying. No, you're spot on, sir. That's what I'm saying. They're using the earlier maps. They're passing these things down, right?
Yeah.
So it's a matter of what the treasure is along these routes or what's on these maps, I guess, is really what's up for debate. But one more point I want to make on those Cherokee. So they start from the land where the Templar came from, where we call the Micmac nations today. They came down through that area of Vermont we were talking about before there, Tim. What's the name of that mountain? Give me a name. What do you got there? Kings Mountain?
It's Hunter. It's near Mount Hunter. You're talking about the one in New York, New York State.
So they came down through there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a tribe that stayed in Vermont. I met one of those men. He's a retired Marine Corps Sergeant Major, real tough son of a bitch. He didn't like. Well, I don't think he didn't like me. I just didn't like his attitude, dude. He was real crusty son of a bitch, trying to tell me what to do. And I was like, "What? We don't even know each other, bud. Where did you come from?" He literally popped out of the ether on me one day, trying to tell me what to do. I'm like, "All right, buddy. He's got the Marine Corps bulldog and stuff. He's got some Cherokee stuff on this arm, and he's proceeds to tell me that he's the deputy chief. He's retired Marine Corps Sergeant Major, but a deputy chief of the Cherokee band that's in Vermont. And I'm like, look, dude, I grew up in Vermont. I've never heard of any Cherokee. He's like, yeah. Looked it up. Sure as shit. It's just north of Bennington, that same area we were talking about with the memorial, the giant dick statue. Just north of there is a band of Cherokee that stayed over. So, but the reason why they're there, I was like, how the fuck did they get there? Because they came down from Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, Vinland, right? The old Viking settlement, right? Down through there.
The Cherokee?
They stayed.
The Cherokee?
Yeah, they're part of the Algonquin nations.
Are you talking about? Okay. Hold on a second. So are you talking about the Micmac came down from?
There's a band of Cherokee,
Nova Scotia.
Not all Cherokee are the same.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't doubt any of this. I just want to make sure I understand what we're saying here. So I know that the Cherokee traditionally come from Iroquois stock.
Yeah.
No, I just want to know, like, what branch was it that came down from Vinland?
Right, were they West Virginian Cherokee?
It's not a large branch of it that stayed there, but there's not that many branches up there anymore, anyhow, of any branch, right? So you have like a Mohawk nation, you got some Iroquois nation, so they're part of the Algonquin speaking tribes, there, right?
Who built the longhouses?
These were in opposition to the Iroquois.
Is that right, Tim?
Well, again, you see that amongst a number of the tribes, though, right? The longhouses.
How come they built such a long house? What was the purpose? I've always wondered that since I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's something you see. I mean, obviously the Vikings did that, and also we do see the Native Americans who are building longhouses.
Well, I got one explanation for that. This is going to blow your mind. I just thought of this. So what happens if these dudes were like 9 foot tall? Like you couldn't just lay down in like a regular 10 by 10 room. You know what I mean? A little mud hut. You'd have to have something long if you were a long person, right?
So you're saying big people, big home.
I mean, it makes sense to me, dude. I never understood that as a kid. It's like, why are these dudes building like 100-foot long house? Like that doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Especially if you look at the architecture of main Native Americans, right?
You could fit more people in there. I mean, I don't know. It's just part of their tradition. I mean, why do we build houses the way we do? You know, like somebody along the way thought it was
to be efficient for the most part. You know what I mean? When I go in a home, when I build a house, at work, you're building a house mainly for efficiency for the most part. It's some of it, a lot of it's designed because we deal with higher end clients, but for the regular house is built to be efficient, whether it's a single family or a three person family or however 4 kids in your family.
It's designed the way it's designed because somebody along the way came up with the prototype, and that's what we're sticking to. So that's why my point was, it's like somebody found some efficiency, to use that word, in the longhouses. Beyond that, I don't know why they chose to do them. It seems like it's a cultural thing too, and maybe they were taught this from people Norse people, essentially.
You don't think they were big people though?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think, yeah. I
well,
mean,
no, I think what y'all are pointing out is, again, some of these bloodlines. So again, so we got the Cherokees are part of the Iroquois nations, and they got the Algonquins. These are the oppositions, right? So this is for example, like the Shawnee would be the more notable ones, or the Powhatan tribes of Virginia would be the Algonquin side. This is the Iroquois. This is the Iroquois Confederacy. So we see the Mohawks. They have a small footprint up there in New York still by the Finger Lakes, right? The Cherokee come from this area, and some of them stayed over here in Vermont.
I know about this.
According to this group in Vermont, the Cherokee group in Vermont, they all migrated down from the Canadian villes up there of Nova Scotia, Newfoundlands. And if you look at their heritage, it makes a lot of sense. They form in clans. They built the same structures and had same settlement styles as the Scots Irish. When they moved here, well, that's because that goes back to Scotland, right? And the same bloodlines. And they come from the same regions, right? I'm not saying all of the Iroquois speak. So Iroquois is a language, right? And so is the Algonquins, where you have different tribes speaking these languages, forming these confederacies or nations, right? So, but the Cherokee stick out from the rest of these tribes. If you look at the Mohawks or any of these other ones, uniquely different in every physical trait than the Cherokee. But they banded together with these folks. But they didn't come from these folks. They have different heritages.
Yeah. I was more interested in Zebulon Pike, to be honest with you. A minute ago, we're just going 1,000 miles per hour, and I haven't been able to get back to that. But Zebulon Pike,
we'll get back to Zebulon here. But if you think about all these bloodlines, though, and how they got there, and what we're describing here, right? And these factions. If they were factions then, why aren't they factions now? And then they are, and we see it.
Yeah, I think we've established that.
But it's the same. But we get lost. What I'm saying is, folks get lost. I get lost in it too sometimes. Semantics of the matters. It's we name these civilizations or these time. It's the same bloodlines, and they're just manifesting through time.
Right.
Different groups.
I think we've established that for sure. So Zebulon Pike. I just wanted to ask about that, because I've heard his name. I haven't done a lot of work with him, but I feel like now that I know that Albert Pike is a descendant of Zebulon Pike.
No, sir. They are third cousins. Second cousins once removed.
They're related.
Same Pike family.
Okay. This gets interesting, I think, because of the Pike letter. And the Pike letter that has to do with the Templars that were over here before Columbus and what they were doing. And Pike is exchanging this letter to a guy named William McLeod Moore. He's another Mason. And he's talking about how the Templars went out west and were looking for a spot to build a New Jerusalem / or also a New Atlantis. And that's very fascinating to me. It's like they were looking for something. It's almost as if there's more context in the letter. It's almost as if they were looking for ancient ruins and looking for a ley line power spot on a meridian to build what they would consider New Atlantis.
Can you pull that up, Tim?
Well, what do you suspect this mission was here, right? Why is he going out there drawing maps of mounds, right?
Well, that's what I was about to say next. I think that you could draw lines with there's comparisons here that could be made to Lewis and Clark and what they were doing. And who was handling Lewis and Clark?
Time.
It was Jefferson. It was Jefferson and Washington. They were giving Lewis and Clark their orders. So in both scenarios, you have men in the order who are going out, sending people out west looking for stuff, whether it's treasure or whether it's to build a city. And I got from that letter, what I derived from that is that they were looking for a place to settle, because in the letter they said, you know, they didn't indicate that the Templars found what they're looking for settlement spot wise, but they did say that I'll just bring it up and read it here. But they did say that what's one of the Mormons did. He mentions Brigham Young and says that the way it reads is like the Templars didn't find what they're looking for out there. So I would suggest that they didn't want to settle some of the area out west, and that's when they did pick locations like New York City and like Washington, D.C., possibly. But what he says did happen is that Brigham Young found a location out there later that he liked. And
that's interesting.
Settled it, and because he was Brigham Young a Mason, right? That's
well, it was Brigham Young Society of Cincinnati,
or both.
In all likely probability.
Both. Yeah.
So you're bringing up an excellent point, because that's the point I was about to make actually with the Mormons. So the Mormon, how did they get out west? Whose maps did they use? Whose maps did Zebulon Pike use? Whose maps did Lewis and Clark? Folks are just passing down these maps to these bloodlines, and Zebulon Pike specifically and Lewis and Clark got their maps from our Swiss founding father, Albert Gallatin. Now, he was the Secretary of the Treasury for that deal that got us the Louisiana Purchase. The Louisiana Purchase, again, is a Knights Templar land claim from 1362, claimed by the Kensington Runestone. So, again, bloodline stuff passed down, right? So where did how did the Mormons get out west, right? How did the Mormons, whose maps did they use? They used the maps of Toussaint Charbonneau, who was a French exploration family of a Huguenot variety from French Quebec before the Brits took it over.
Very shocking at times.
Yeah, weird. Huguenots, right? Shocker. So we see these maps being passed down, obviously.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think that the Mormons did essentially what the Templars were interested in and didn't do. So the Templars were out there. We know that they left the New Mexico Templar stones out there and some other things. So they were there. So Pike was correct. The Templars were there, and they were interested in doing something out there. It seems as if the Templars slowly put their sights on the East Coast. But what we do see is the Mormons settling out there. And what we see is the Mormons settling right on the ancient sites. So I was reading something the other day.
Well, I think
there was an old Mormon town that we found that was right on top of landed a Anasazi settlement. And some of those Anasazi dates suggest that the Anasazi were in the region as much as 8,000 years ago. Very ancient stuff.
In Arizona.
Very ancient stuff. And Aztec. So here's what you have. You have Salt Lake City on an old Aztec location, and you have some of these other Mormon towns on an Anasazi location. That's not a coincidence. We have, especially when you factor in that some of the first Mormons were Masons. That's why they're getting this knowledge in the first place, in my opinion. So you have these groups of people in the order seeking out ancient sites and settling right on top of them.
Well, if I may, sir, the Mormons are an offshoot of the society. Young, Smith, a whole lot of the executives, if you will, all hereditary memberships. So we see again, and to your point, I think you're making a very salient characteristic. Your point on there is this focus on the East Coast there, New York, like you were saying, New York. Well, what if you locate that treasure that your ancestors buried out west, right? Wouldn't you want to deter folks' attention from it by then refocusing your attention back east?
On the east, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I've got the letter. I'll just read.
You have.
I found it for you, Landon. So I pulled it up here. Here's the quote, and this is to William James McLeod Moore from Albert Pike. They went out west looking for the signs, symbols, and tokens left behind by our brothers and fellow Knights Templar who covenanted the goddess. So there's your goddess worship.
Goddess worship again.
Being alluded to. Pike said they ventured out there looking for New Jerusalem, also known as Francis Bacon's New Atlantis.
New Atlantis, same shit, right? It's the same.
What when I tell people about New Atlantis, believe me, I'm talking about it for a reason.
New Jerusalem, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah, apparently in Pike's mind, it was the same thing. They were using it interchangeably. So what he doesn't mention what the Templars found. Instead, this is where he pivots in the letter and says, Brigham Young did find something out there. It was right on a meridian. And that's when it clicked in my brain. Oh, yeah, Freemasons. And apparently Society of Cincinnati. So that all checks out. And I think I know, what Pike's talking about out there. That all along the Rio Grande, you still have some mystical stuff happening there with those Templar stones, with the Decalogue stone. And what do you see in regards to the goddess? On top of the New Mexico Templar stones, you've got an 8-pointed star of Ishtar. So it all
well, sir, it's all we're saying here, man. Because here's the deal. Everyone gets focused on the Freemasonry because that's what they want folks to do. The Society of Cincinnati ran the anti-Freemasonry fucking political party. So that's all shenanigans. Yeah, those Cincinnati schemers, dude, they're always up to something. So here's the deal, though. It manifests through Freemasonry, through all these organizations because of the veil of secrecy that's already standardized in that system. Why is the NSA searching for that Hanukkah mound, and why are they doing it 10 miles away from where the fucking map tells you where it is?
So real quick, I just got to throw a credit out. Scott
I'm going to need an answer on that, sir. Give me a name. Why is the NSA? See what I'm saying there? How it doesn't matter the veil of secrecy. The NSA's obviously got their veil of secrecy. National security. Is this mound a matter of national security? Well, I don't know. It might be, I suppose. But what I'm saying is, I don't think so. I think it manifests through the veil of secrecy.
So Scott Walter is who brought those letters out to light. I just want to give him credit for that. He found a briefcase with like a bunch of Pike letters. So that's where we're getting this information.
Well, I appreciate that, sir. But what are your thoughts on these matters? So, why else would the NSA be involved in searching for that Hanukkah mound?
Yeah, I know.
Maybe
why would they be doing it in the wrong place? We can debate that. But I'm glad you brought up Scott Walter because I want to bring him up next year.
JJ, maybe.
There is.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean,
now I'm going off the deep end now, boys.
Now you're not off the deep end because what's a computer? It's crystals. It's stuff we find in the ground, right?
Saline, or silica, mainly.
I'm saying it's elements we find in the ground. We cobble together in these fucking machines.
No, they were stupid, JJ. They were stupid.
No, how dare you, sir? How dare you?
They just cooked over there.
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
Saying "Kumbaya," you know what I mean? That's all they done.
I'm glad you brought up Scott Walter because I wanted to bring this in. As we bring this thing for close here tonight, I want to thank both of you gents for joining me to get a little GCD on this ancient American anthologies we got going. I enjoy these matters, and I hope folks of the interwebs have enjoyed it as well. Thank you, folks of the interwebs, for joining us. This motherfucker right here is trying to out JJ me. Jeff Lafitte Jones. This is what I stumbled across recently. In 2000, I proved the secret hidden with my family heirlooms after 200 years. And in 2010, Scott Walter of the History Channel. I think this guy's a bit schizo, if you ask me, but we can look at it.
Nothing wrong with that, man. I get it.
Live in a schizo age. In 2010, Scott Walter of the History Channel and host of America on Earth paid for my DNA test. I suspect he did not pay for his DNA test, but I can't prove that. To prove I am George Washington's great-great-grandson. Well, first of all, he's got a couple generations he's missing there. Jeff Washington Lafitte Jones. So second of all, is this motherfucker trying to out JJ me? He's got JJ and he's got my tail there, doesn't he? Being a descendant of Washington. I don't have anything to do with Walter.
JWLJ.
A test, right?
Sounds like a radio station. JWLJ radio. You're tuning in live.
Let's take a peek to see when this was first posted, sir. July 4th, 2025. You got to be fucking kidding me, dude.
That's weird.
Is this in response to? Is this somehow in response? Is he trying to out JJ me?
What's these profile pics though? This is pretty cringe.
Dude, what is this?
What is happening right now? Actually,
what is happening? We got JD Vance on JD Vance violence. We got this dude's trying to out JJ me with my legitimate tail.
JJ, why don't you just pull out the gematria calculator at this point and start punching this stuff in?
How wild is this, dude? I suspect Scott Walter has nothing to do with this guy, but like, how wild is this guy?
Is this? I think you've told me about this guy before. He didn't you have some sort of interaction with this guy?
No, I think I did tell you
to
about him. I just found it like maybe about 2 months ago.
Oh, okay, never mind. Get him on the show. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
I mean, I'll invite him on the show, dude. But like, I just feel like this is, you know what I mean? Like, this is
what's with all the weaponry? What's with the pictures of the weaponry?
I mean, I guess he's got his musket, dude. He's got his battle axe. He's got his what is that? It's an
battle horns, bro. He's ready to call in the cavalry over here.
I don't know, dude. But he's got Jean Lafitte, right? Jean Lafitte, the Society of Cincinnati French member out of New Orleans, the pirate.
That's weird.
Yeah, it looks like he's got some of the guns that the society used to carry around.
Who's the guy in the back?
You want to talk about weaponry, bud? We'll talk about some weaponry, dude. I'll go hunt some vampires, buddy.
Oh, what's that about? I gotta know. What's the JJ Vance vampire hunter thing?
I don't get it.
Oh, dude, yeah. I've met an inordinate amount of vampires in my life that I did not expect to meet. In fact, they murdered my cousin, a member of Clan Vance. Those damn vampires. Folks can check out that tale on Operation GCD Sundays. I've had a couple encounters, but I recently encountered a vampire of a Canadian variety, and I've been hunting vampires ever since, sir. Hold that thought. We've come to a great point in time where I had to play my favorite game on Operation GCD Fridays. Who is your daddy, and what does he do?
You tell me, who is your daddy, and what does he do?
Once again, I'm not the vice president, but I did see that post on Twitch, and I like to say, folks get a little out of control with these conspiracy theories about who is your daddy and what does he do, because this is clearly his daddy. You know what I mean? He looks just like his daddy, dude. Get the fuck. Michael Aquino is not JD Vance, and I think the first time I seen that, I'm just tired of seeing it. Look at it, dude. Let's use our brain holes for God's intended. That's obviously his daddy.
I think Michael Aquino is probably gay, but I don't think he was.
Well, I mean, look at this. Come on, dude. That is obviously his daddy, dude. Let's get out of town.
So this is like a myth-busting conspiracy segment here, right?
This is trying to your daddy. This is the reverse who's your daddy, because I'm tired of seeing that nonsense.
So you're trying to dispel the rumors here, right? JJ, you're dispelling the rumors that Michael Aquino is indeed not Vance's father. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not the vice president, and Michael Aquino, Muppet Mikey, is not JD Vance's father. Now, whether or not his buddy laser tag Ted Gunderson's JD Vance's father, I suppose that's inconclusive.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
Stay vigilant, folks. Ted's down. They got him twice. No, I mean, look at it.
Who was that?
Obviously, JD. You don't know.
Who was that?
You don't know laser tag Ted Gunderson, sir?
Ted Gunderson? I've heard the name.
The greatest of all
time.
Yeah,
he's a proprietor of violations of many constitutional rights. He used to run COINTELPRO for the Muppets.
AKA a shit bum.
What's he talking about getting hit by lasers?
Piece of shit.
What's he talking about? Getting struck by lasers?
Are you familiar with the McMartin preschool scandal of violating a lot of kids' b-holes, if you will?
Yeah.
No satanic panic there. Nothing happened, man.
Our former head of COINTELPRO, Mr. Laser Tag Ted Gunderson, we don't know if he got shot by lasers. Much like anything else Ted said, he provided no evidence. So he did, however, infiltrate the McMartin preschool mother, a single mother. Her child got violated, kid diddling style at that preschool. They're in a wealthy area, affluent area of Los Angeles, Manhattan Beach, from the 60s through the 80s. It wasn't just the 80s. And he infiltrated that, real shit coating of the entire affair. Everyone today is like, they talk shit about whether or not there was tunnels underneath that preschool. It's because of fucking Ted. He shit coated intentionally. And the mother from that one of the victims, she let Ted move into her house because she's like, oh, the former head of the FBI is going to help me. Okay. And then little did she know he was going to mooch off of her money-wise, sex pest the shit out of her. And then the day she hired that fucking archaeological team from UCLA, Ted took out a fucking other team of parents that he'd infiltrated into their social circles via her. Her name's Jackie McGauley, and she has nothing nice to say about Ted. And the same day, he took a bunch of other parents out there with shovels and called the LA Times. That's Ted Gunderson for you. And then he would claim ownership of that tunnel report and put his resume on it, his fucking resume on it, on his own website. You can get All them Muppets can go fuck themselves. But Jackie McGawley would report during the 3 years in which Ted lived on her couch, he was talking to Michael Aquino every night. And this is the same time yes, sir. And this is at the same time that he's opposite Michael Aquino on the infamous Satanic Panic Geraldo primetime special in 1987. They're already friends before it. They're friends
propaganda.
after.
It's
all propaganda.
He's
okay. So hold on. So
boys.
So Ted is orchestrating the propaganda campaign to get everybody thinking that it's just a big old nothing burger of satanic panic. Oh, everybody's just in their feelings and in their emotions. Well, and meanwhile, he's staying on this lady's couch talking to Aquino every night, orchestrating the whole
being
thing.
A real sex pest.
Wow.
No, he serves the same purpose we see Alex Jones / Bill Hicks serve, and that is pointed out by this lefty Looney Tune that, again, everyone's got a clock that's right twice a day, even when it's broken.
So here's the false flag conspiracy on Alex Jones.
Okay, let me hear the conspiracy.
If you were going to do a bunch of conspiracies, but you wanted to discredit the idea that conspiracies happen, you would create someone like Alex Jones who would say plausible things like 25%, 33% of it makes perfect sense. And then on top of that, you would add reptilians. So that people would go, oh, that's just crazy talk. Oh, a Gulf of Tonkin, you think the government set that up. Oh, you also think there's lizard people. You're one of those Alex
Tower
Jones guys.
7! Chemtrails!
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I know him too well.
And that's the purpose of old Laser Tag Ted.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
Did you see Joe?
I don't know, man.
They got him twice. Ted's
I don't
down.
know, man.
Ted's down.
What?
Listen, God, that's a little one-sided, don't you think? Are we gonna make our points with Joe Rogan clips? That's
where
fine.
do you want to start with Alex
That's
Jones?
fine.
Sir?
No, that's fine. But
I don't want to make any point with Joe Rogan clips. I'm just emphasizing.
He had a just
Unger there
white
points out
t-shirt
some
on
salient characteristics of the controlled opposition nature which Alex Jones / Bill Hicks serves.
Well, let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that because we can't. Like, I'm not throwing shade. That sounded like I was throwing shade at you for doing that. I think we could totally make points with Joe Rogan clips if what they're saying.
I think you were definitely throwing shade at me, sir.
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
How dare you, sir?
What I should have said was, JJ, can we expound upon that and dive into that a little bit more? That's what I meant.
I love this. This is fun.
Because
I'll go full Bill Hicks on you, buddy.
Because I want you to expound on that because I'm not fully sold on the idea that Alex Jones is what shall we say, what controlled opposition. Is that what this guy's saying?
Yeah. Well, we got evidence he worked for Time Warner in the 1990s. We got evidence that his outfit did. We got evidence, for example, that Bill Hicks allegedly this is by Bill Hicks' childhood best friend, Kevin Booth, who's also Joe Rogan's manager at one point in time, and Doug Stanhope, neo-processian best friends of Johnny Depp, Marilyn Manson, and child kid-diddling murderer Damien Eccles. Real friendly bunch. Anyhow, Kevin Booth is the center point for all these figures who grew up with Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks dies suddenly of pancreatic cancer. He's reporting on Waco. 6 months later, we see Alex Jones reporting on Waco with Kevin Booth. Weird. They have the same teeth structure. There's a lot of similarities. They say they're 13 years apart, although I would argue Alex Jones is the most busted-ass 51-year-old I've ever seen. Nonetheless, we see that Bill Hicks claims that he met Alex Jones at that Austin Public TV, Access TV, where, Joe Rogan has epicenter of activity as well there, and at all, and other folks within the conspiracy culture. I'm not going to start throwing shade at some of those folks, though, but my point there is that what is it?
Please do.
Please do.
Burn it to the ground, Nickelback.
We see relative to those activities that Bill Hicks claims to have met Alex Jones there, and that he based this character that he was working on at the time of his death off of Alex Jones.
Tim,
it was a Rush Limbaugh-based character, and he was going to be a public access TV guy, and this is supposedly what Alex Jones was doing. There's a problem with that narrative. Kevin Booth has repeated that narrative ad nauseum. They put it in Bill Hicks' documentary. Allegedly, Bill Hicks died 6 months before Alex Jones starts at that public access TV station. So these Muppets can all go fuck themselves.
Man, that's it. I'm glad I asked, bro, because
what's his name?
You're giving me something to think about here.
It's the
JJ,
chronology of events, sir, that doesn't make any sense to me. If you're going to, here's the other deal. Kevin Booth routinely goes on InfoWars and calls Alex Jones Bill. They joke about him being Bill Hicks. Numerous other spooky fuckers, Muppets, call him Bill Hicks on the air.
He looks
they call
like
him Bill
Hicks.
He
like
looks
young,
identical to Bill Hicks, sir.
Yeah,
you know Jerome
young pictures.
Dorsey, Mr. QAnon Muppet. He calls him Bill so many times on the air because he's a fucking idiot. Why would you call Alex Jones Bill? Why the fuck would you? And why would you do it repeatedly?
Yeah, that's what you're
and
saying.
Why would you joke with? I get heated about this, dude. I get offended, dude. Allegedly, Bill Hicks's best friend goes on air and jokes about Alex Jones being Bill Hicks, Alex Jones being funnier than Bill Hicks. He gave Alex Jones an award one time under Bill Hicks' name in public in front of a fucking bunch of people, dude. Get the fuck out. So I'm saying we get propagandized by these fucking Muppets, and when we start bringing up these issues, they're like, people are like, oh, you can't say that. Well, here's the deal. It's America. You can say that.
You can. You're absolutely right, JJ.
I'll give you some. Okay, I'll give this to you. That breakdown gave me that breakdown gave me something to think about for sure. Also, I like when you played the clips. That just came across wrong.
Would you expect Bill Hicks to marry a hooker? He's frequenting nightclubs. He's doing a lot of cocaine. You would expect if he's going to marry any gal, it's probably a hooker. Some lady of the night, perhaps. Would you believe Alex Jones' first wife, mother of his children that he divorced, a fucking hooker? That's weird.
I just think of the whole Sandy.
I just saw a comment. I saw a comment in the chat here about hookers and his first wife. I'm like, yeah, that's a spot on comment.
Shit coding everything with the whole Sandy Hook thing. That was his ordeal.
Well, here's the deal with Sandy Hook. Have you ever heard the name Wolfgang Halbig? He got sued in the very same lawsuit. Alex Jones's attorneys refused to represent him in that matter. They didn't even have jurisdiction over Halbig as a Florida resident. When he filed a motion saying they didn't have jurisdiction in a Connecticut federal court, they told him he can go fuck himself. That's a constitutional right. They had no jurisdiction.
It was to discredit him, right? That was the whole purpose of that.
Something I do see happening though is all these guys. So anytime a conspiracy guy gets really big, everybody always says, "Oh, they're controlled opposition."
I get that.
It can't be real. They say that about everybody. That's why I'm like, well, it can't be everybody, can it? Like some people just get big because they get big, you know.
I'm with that, Tim. I believe in that belief system too. But also, like I would say, like that's like a minimal of like 5% maybe of them, maybe 10.
Yeah.
And that's a conservative approach. It's probably more like 3% of them are real, and the rest of the 97 are fake. But I get what you're saying. They all can't be fake. You know what I mean?
I mean,
the big ones.
If you really want to break it down, though, sir, you just break it down by their actions. Look how many times Alex Jones has raised money saying the feds are knocking on his door, they're going to close it. So that Sandy Hook thing serves multiple purposes for all parties.
They killed Roger Stone down there.
Yeah, they killed Roger. You know, dude, he got everyone hyped up for fucking domestic. Dude, he's gotten FEMA camped up. Dude, he screams at everybody. I've had so many problems with him since day one. Dude, he screams at everybody, gets everyone hyped up, dude. You know what I mean? Like if you got the number of times he was wrong, dude, it's a lot, dude. It's a fucking
compared to
lot.
the rights, right?
Yeah, it's dude. In Major League Baseball, you get sent back down to the minors if you bat about, you miss 8 out of 10 times, right? You bat 200, you're going back to the minors, buddy. You know what I mean? Yep. He's not even batting like 100, bud. He'd be down like he wouldn't even be in single A, dude. He'd be in the Cape Cod League still.
JJ, the InfoWars kid that got killed not that long ago.
Oh yeah, that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, that one seemed to really disappear the media, right? That one.
Oh yeah, because he didn't stick, did it? None of that shit. Oh poof. Did he even work, dude? Who was the guy? Like I never even heard the guy's name. Everyone afterwards was like, "Oh, we've worked with him for years. He's a great guy." I'm like, really?
Yeah. I don't. That's
well, what about Bill Cooper? What do you think about him?
He hated Alex Jones. He called out Alex Jones in 1997 as being a fraud. This is a year after the world was introduced, about 14 months after the world was introduced to Alex Jones. And today, Alex Jones he pats himself on the back for the accomplishments of Bill Cooper. So that should build, if that is any indication of his character.
To add on to Bill Cooper, though, real quick, I do want to mention this. Bill Cooper dies in, what year does he die? 94? I mean, Danny Castellero dies in, 93, right, JJ? Is that correct?
Yeah. But I'm 100%. I'm 100% on board with the all likely probabilities that Bill Hicks is Alex Jones. The evidence, it's in the evidence.
You do think that Hicks is Alex Jones?
I've done volumes of research on the topic. I probably 2 hours plus on the topic here before. I'll bring up some of the previous stuff if you'd like to check it out.
No, it's for sure.
I've just been, dude. There's a guy I saw years ago on here, ODD TV. He put together like he saw someone else's video and he built upon that. He says he's on the start of his video. I saw this video and I'm building upon that. I saw his video and I built upon that.
That book was published 6 months after preceding Danny Caslero's death. So I do believe some of the working and some of the usage was from those archives.
Well, you bring up a good points about the Behold a Pale Horse stuff.
Yeah. Danny Caslero died 6 months prior to Behold a Pale Horse coming out, and Danny was known because I love the octopus, so that's kind of like that's what I freak out on. But he was known throughout his friend group that was the name of his book was Behold a Pale Horse. So I don't know how much validity there is.
That's a great point, sir. I appreciate using your brain hole for God's intended purposes, and you'll be joining me for that Caslero conversation here on Operation GCD.
You ever get into that, Tim? Dude, that stuff goes crazy.
Are you talking about the octopus?
Yeah, Iran-Contra, the octopus, BCCI, Vietnam, JJ.
Viet fucking Nam.
Yeah.
You just signed yourself up for a Bill Hicks experience, friend.
Who? Which one?
Personality for his Rush type character. And there's no photos that exist of the two together. You can find Bill Hicks with Kevin Booth in Austin, Texas. Alex.
Sure, I'll be right back.
Pizza and ice cream.
Yeah, we'll just start at the beginning.
I wanted to dive into this Alex Jones Bill Hicks debate. I've been researching the idea that Alex Jones might be Bill Hicks, and I got to admit that at first I thought it was completely silly and I didn't want to go there. But I watched a fellow Truth Seekers video called Alex Jones is Bill Hicks, 15 Proofs. It's by Taboo Conspiracy. Big shout out to him. So anyway, this video will probably receive quite a bit of hate because A, there's a coordinated attack on this information. At least that's what I believe and that's what it appears. B, there are tons of people brainwashed by InfoWars and they think it's a legit source for truth.
Our channel, you never disappoint with your
people who love
Muppet
Bill
free.
Hicks think that he would do something like this because he was a loose cannon.
This is almost
Luckily, I've
confirmation
never
that I'm
been here
right.
for the likes,
by the way,
I don't really care. Anyway, some say that even if Alex Jones is Bill Hicks, it doesn't matter. I say, if Bill Hicks was recruited to assume the character of Alex Jones as the leading controlled opposition to the mainstream media, then I think that's a big deal. And let me say this, Bill Hicks, for what he was and what his work consisted of, I absolutely love him. He was a total badass, and I have all of his work, and I watch it every once in a while.
I the JFK coup pigeon joke.
No.
You know what, man? So, okay, in this clip of this guy right here, of Bill Hicks, there's I'm sorry, I'm not trying to deflate any balloons here. I'm just, we'll give my opinion later. There's a difference in the eyes. There's a difference in the eyes. Now, okay, let's say maybe Alex Jones had some facial surgery to I don't know, but
he did.
I'm just playing devil's advocate, I guess.
There's evidence of it. There's evidence of it.
But I will say I can see some differences in the facial features from this clip, especially because what you're seeing in this clip, this is the thing. Some of the other side by sides, you're seeing just a picture of them straight on. In this one, you're seeing more of a three-dimensional perspective of Bill Hicks, and I can see that it's not Alex Jones.
Well, you're making some solid points. So there's definitely some facial surgeries that go on, but I would say pay attention to the T structure, which they did not, I repeat, did not change. And it's substantially harder to change. You cannot change the structure of someone's teeth like you can their nose, their cheeks, and et cetera. So
it's possible for sure. I mean,
It's
they had
possible.
watch that video of the CIA lady in the freaking I think it was 1984 or 85 with the mask. It's crazy.
I know I'm not going to start slinging names around. I'm just not going to do it. But I do know some people who.
How can you not enjoy that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you.
That's comedy gold, dude.
They're all not chick.
That's a great joke.
Right? It was pretty good. I've really never watched any of his stand up, so I'll have to do my research on it for sure. I think you can't throw it out.
He had his moments, but
man, if he is dead, but I genuinely don't think so, and here's why. First off, they look identical. When comparing pictures of the two, you'd have to be blind not to see the similarities.
I mean,
I'll give you that. The straight on whatever,
Facial
you know,
structure.
like, yeah, like when you see a side by side of their faces straight on like this, I see it. They're similar. See, look at the eyes though. There's a difference in the eyes.
I know we all have doppelgangers, but these guys both grew up in the
state. Good point. There's definitely surgery that was done here, and the cheeks were done. Someone's done with the cheeks for sure.
So that's my
Texas
point. Yeah,
and have the same teeth, which is damn near an impossibility, especially when considering all of the other things they have in common.
It's almost like, you know, they do like a Brazilian butt lift or whatever. They put some silicone in there. It's almost like they slid in some silicone in his cheeks to make him real puffy. He got a Brazilian butt lift, but in his mouth hole. They call it the language.
They share the same best friend and production partner, Kevin Booth. Here's a clip of Kevin Booth discussing a little bit about growing up with Bill Hicks as his best friend.
I remember I used to buy a Totino's frozen pizza every single night and like a half a gallon of Bluebell ice cream and go over to Bill's house, and that's what we would do: watch soap, pizza, and ice cream, and just listen to albums and watch the show. So
now here's a clip of AJ accidentally slipping up on a show where Kevin Booth was the guest.
I'm just giving medical facts here on air, buddy. All right, let's reset. Go to break. Me and Kevin are old friends. This is not good here on air. Me and Kevin are old friends. This is not good here on air. A little bit of gallows humor here straight ahead. I'm Bill Hicks, your host. We'll be right back. I'm Bill Hicks, your host.
Dude, in what world do you joke with a dude's childhood best friend while on air with the man that you're not only him? You know what I mean? How is that acceptable?
Though, too, JJ. I could see him troll.
Bunch of trolls, dude.
You can go to Kevin Booth's website, Sacred Cow Productions, and click on artist bios. You'll find that Alex Jones is listed right underneath Bill Hicks. When you click on AJ's bio, it has some interesting things. Let's read the top part here. I became familiar with Alex Jones.
This don't match up, dude. This is the one I'm talking about, dude. This story is bullshit, and they've repeated it ad nauseum.
In the early 90s, when he had his first cable access show in Austin, Texas, Alex used to sit in front of a star map, and I had a hard time putting my finger on exactly what it was that Alex was talking about. I remember the very last time Bill Hicks came to Austin Access, spring of '93, we were working on a script called Public Access about a Rush Limbaugh type character who angers a viewer, and the viewer came to the stage.
Yeah, these Muppets expect folks not be able to do math. I can do math, sir. They don't match it. That math don't math. I'm not Asian, but I can do math.
And killed the host on air. Bill's character was an abstract composite of various Access personalities, including Alex.
Now,
okay.
Technically speaking, this is a derivative of a derivative. Rush Limbaugh is technically Jim Morrison, but that's a bit of a horse of a different topic.
I heard that one too.
It's basically saying that Bill Hicks was assuming a role.
Oh, it gets better. He gave his golden mic. So Rush Limbaugh and Jim Morrison, just because they use the same exact precise golden model microphone, it's very unique. Pay no attention to that. The fact they look identical and sound identical. Pay no attention to that. That gold microphone went to Glenn Beck and is now in the hands of Erica Kirk. Glenn Beck gave it to Erica Kirk in the wake of her husband's death. So Erica Kirk now is Jim Morrison's gold microphone. Isn't that fancy?
Tim said that Erica Kirk might be she might have the Moonchild.
Well, she's got Jim Morrison. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Jim Morrison was a cultist, dude, big time, and she's got his golden microphone now.
Do you think that's real, Tim?
Which part?
Erica Kirk having the Moonchild with JD Vance.
Oh, yeah, that was a point that one of my guests made, and we went down the rabbit hole with that one. You know, it's interesting. I think he's got his finger on the pulse with a lot of things concerning those matters. There's some very occulted stuff happening there on the world stage right now with the Kirk issue, and JD Vance being involved is not helping. It's potentially aiding to the scenario. She's there's some. I mean, when we want to talk about conspiracy theories, I think that there's some very real conspiracy theories regarding Erica Kirk, and I mean, you know, with her dad working for Raytheon Israel,
DOD, right?
With her mom working for DOD, and just if you want to talk about weird
How
sinks,
about her paternal grandfather, knighted by a member of the Society of the Cincinnati, the King of Sweden?
So there's another one. She's also got Knights of Malta ties, and you know, a very famous Knights of Malta who was in American politics was Alan Dulles himself. And if you people out there want to know what the face of corruption really looks like in the American political machine, check out Alan Dulles. Look into him.
You ain't
so
kidding,
there's
sir. That's who
weird
Colby
Malta
Colby's
Knights
are an outfit of the Dulles brothers.
The again,
one of them Dulles boys was the cardinal for the Vatican.
I'll tell you. Wait, say that again. I'm sorry.
The Dulles brothers.
Yes.
The other Dulles brother. That's not. Like they got the other Baldwin, right? They got the other Dulles brother. He was the fucking cardinal dude for the Vatican there.
Aren't they just Brown Brothers Harriman, right, JJ?
Hey, there you go, buddy.
Yeah, they were both the Dulles brothers were involved with the American political machine. Their uncle and grandfather, one of them was a senator, and another one was high up in politics as well. So they grew up in a political. They were brought up to be political wolves.
Stalwarts is a good name, Tim. That's what I like to call them. They're the stalwarts of 1950s, 40s, right?
Yeah.
That's like you're saying, the dual. I think it's so much deeper though, bro. You like I said, you dive into the whole Brown Brothers harem, you start talking banking, start talking money. JJ, I know I sent you that John Adams, or was it John Adams's great granddaughter? I think was married to one of the Brown Brothers harem heirs. I know I mentioned that to you if you wanted to go over that too.
Yeah, dude, we can do that for sure, man. And I just want to go over one thing here real quick on this matter.
I will say, JJ, I will say that I have, JJ, I have not heard, all I was going to say is that I have not heard the conspiracy that Rush Limbaugh is Jim Morrison.
I'm glad I could bring that to your brain hole, sir. You have not heard Rush Limbaugh sound exactly like Jim Morrison, looking exactly like Jim Morrison, singing the song of Jim Morrison, sounding just like Jim Morrison on a golden microphone of the same precise model of Jim Morrison, dude. And I'm glad I can introduce you and the folks of the interwebs who have not seen this to all of these matters. Boom.
New update, ladies and gentlemen, inaugurated today on the EIB network. This is the euthanasia update. Beautiful friend. This is the end.
Trust your brain hole. Trust your senses. He looks like him, sounds like him. He's the same microphone as him. This is the end. That, sir, right there is the last known photograph of one Jim Morrison, son of a Navy admiral that got us into a. Here, this one's for you, RR. RR's always trying to dispute this one. The guy that got us into a fucking Nam via a fake fucking attack there in the Gulf of Tonkin.
No, it was real.
And go fuck yourself, RR. You and you fucking Muppets at Langley. Anyhow, this is the last. There, right on cue, dude. Right on cue, dude. Right on. You're a fucking Muppet and a half. I tell you what, there are. Open your ear hole. Open your brain hole. Sometime you might learn something.
Can I just say,
Bill Colby ball washer, sir? By virtue of being a Bill Colby ball washer, he must then also wash the balls of them Dulles brothers.
Can I just say something? Please. And I'll be happy to come back and do an episode on this if I have to, and just lay out all the details. The Dulles brothers were 100% behind the Vietnam War.
Absolutely, dude. They started the franchise of it in 1954 via this trade organization in the South Pacific when they were told not to by Congress, in fact. So all these Muppets can go fuck them. They're always told no. Iran-Contra, they were told no. They're like, oh, yeah, we're going to do Bill Colby and them queers. We're going to sell drugs, guns, and people and fund all this hood rat shit anyway, just because Congress told us not to. Doesn't mean shit. Well, no, it actually does. You guys should go to prison. That's what that means. And speaking of prison, this guy felt he was in a prison. And in 1967, at the height of his fame, went on national TV and was asked, Jim, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You're a rock god by your own admission. That's what he used to say. He said, where do you see yourself in 5 years? He goes, oh, well, I hope I'm going to be disappeared into corporate middle America. And the radio or the TV host was like, what the fuck? And where was he at in 5 years? In 1972, Jim Morrison was gone. And in 1978, Rush Limbaugh was in corporate middle America.
That's wild, man. That's wild. There, yeah. I think I think what you have here, I don't know if this guy's joking or what. He seems to.
No, dude, he works for Langley, dude. He's a CIA AI Bill Colby ball washer. I don't call him that because I want to. I mean, that's just what he does, dude.
So you know, before JFK was assassinated, one of the biggest beefs he had with the Dulles brothers was over this conflict in Vietnam. And I'm sorry, but it wasn't the Dulles brothers who didn't want it. It was JFK who didn't want it. He was seriously opposed to a conflict over there. And it was the CIA and the State Department who had pawns over there in Vietnam assassinating people and just throwing wood on the fire over there.
There's murking folks, dude. They had Muppet Mikey Aquino over there weaponizing religions against the populace and helping Bill Colby and getting murked 32,000 folks. Go fuck yourself, RR. And on top of that, dude, we see that afterwards they brought those same programs here. This is Colby's Queers. These same programs being brought home.
Yeah. And the Eisenhower years.
This is what you're seeing, JJ. Me and you were talking about weather manipulation. This is where you start to see it. This is the testing grounds of weather manipulation is Vietnam. So to me, it's so much more than just communist. I mean, that's the surface level, right? You got the Golden Triangle, and then you get into Operation Popeye with weather manipulation over there in Vietnam, making it rain, flooding it. It starts making
it rain Jennifer Pritzker's, dude. Making it rain this gorgeous U.S.
Seeing what Agent Orange does on the human body, perhaps. Shout out.
It was just another war, man, to these people, and that's the thing.
Who made Roundup?
Eisenhower personally authorized the assassination of Lumumba in the Congo, who Alan Dulles called the Castro of Africa, and this was all just fomenting strife and drama so we could justify, air quotes, justify ourselves going into a war. They didn't just do this with Vietnam. That's the thing. There's a pattern here, and the Dulles brothers were involved in their time in politics, were involved with all those wars and all those conflicts. I mean, Iran to Vietnam, to the Congo, to the 1954-53 coup d'etat in Guatemala. Come on. These guys, all they wanted was war.
I appreciate that, sir. And ours of the world, they're trying to tell folks these things didn't happen.
Yes, they are.
It was Monsanto that I was thinking of. I was just saying because then you have this incident not too long ago with the suing of Roundup. It's the same thing, basically. You know what I mean? Roundup, Agent Orange, it's basically the same thing. I think they were testing it to see how much harm it could do, or if it was like a delayed effect, you know what I mean? Because that's what most of the people end up getting, they end up getting lung cancer, what have you. That's a delayed effect. There's no instant. You don't see it at first, you know what I mean?
You're saying that they
like
tested this in Vietnam only to then come back over here and use it on a wider scale, like we're saying with Operation Gladio and the Phoenix program. It was tested over in Vietnam and then operationally put into effect here in America.
They did that with Lyme's disease as well. They were dropping that on people over there too. And it comes out of Lyme, New York. It's right above Montauk Point. There's just a bunch of secret activities going on. Was Lyme in Connecticut?
Yeah, it's right across the bay.
You're right. Yeah,
it's
you're right.
Across the bay from it's the same place that produced the Montauk Monster.
There's 3 places of interest right there in that bay. You're right. It's Lyme, Connecticut. Below that is Plum Island, and then off to the right, if you're looking at a map, is Montauk Point. But one more point on the Dulles brothers. Let's not forget, guys, they were elites through and through. They grew up around the Carnegies. They grew up around the Rockefellers, some of those robber baron industrialist people that you mentioned, and that changed this country, not for the best in the 1800s. They were both lawyers for Sullivan and Cromwell. And that before they held office, they're lawyers. That alone should tell you something. And they represented I.G. Farben, and they were on the board of a bank that funded the Nazis.
Yeah, you're describing them as Nazis, sir. And that's what they're doing at Plum Island with these animals, and I advocate we do those with the Nazis. Let's do some experiments on those fucking Muppets.
You could keep
going.
They're
not still doing weird shit at Plum Island where they created the fucking Lyme's disease, sir. And you're spot on. This thing popped up on shore. I was out in Montauk on a fishing excursion when this occurred, and all the locals were like, "Oh, you've never heard of Plum Island? Oh, that's an animal that was experimented on, obviously." I was like, "Oh shit." Although, so at first I didn't really put a lot of validity in these statements because those same locals were accusing me of being a Montauk boy, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, lady. This specific lady at a coffee shop. She's a nice lady. We became friends over time, my visits out there, but she often initially accused me and routinely did so afterwards of being a Montauk boy. So you see the show Stranger Things, brought to us by that dark Yonkers doctor, Carlton Gadusek, who somehow brought in like 50 Micronesian boys when he worked for Tony Fauci down at NIH. He's connected to the Son of Sam cult. No big deal. Anyway,
Dana's flaming you in the chat.
Oh, wait, is she?
Shout out Dana, man.
What? Oh, fishing, yeah. So when I'm out there, they're telling me all these things. Well, Stranger Things is brought to us by Carlton Gadusek's nephew, whose first season he was the showrunner. Look in the show notes, Gadusek, and they're a dark bunch, it seems. But we see it's a girl, right? 11, but really the actual program was boys of a blue-eyed, blonde hair, fair hair, blue-eyed. Nazi shit, right? That's sounds like some Hitler's Youth type of shit, right? So those were the Montauk. I didn't learn that until I was out there.
So yeah, there were Nazis involved with that. The up and runnings of that base.
So Nazis walked on shore at Montauk.
Yeah.
We know that. No, sir. No. We have on record a team of Nazis walking on shore at Camp Hero there at Montauk in 1943, I believe it is.
Well, okay, I'm talking about later part of paper. Some of the guys who were part of Paperclip were running the Montauk, the old base
that's
there.
What I'm getting at, sir. That's what I'm getting at. We're told Paperclip's 47 passed. I'm saying that they were running some shit with some Nazis there before 47, and that's why these other Nazis felt comfortable parking their fucking canoe. I don't think it was a canoe, but their dinghy or whatever, on the fucking shore at Camp Hero, an Air Force base at Montauk. Why would they feel comfortable doing that?
Yeah, I see.
Unless there was already an operation there with fucking Nazis.
Right. Well, I think what you had too, when you insert the Dulles brothers back into this scenario also, you've got a narcissistic version of elite nepotism, and it all of it in the form of the Dulles represents a quiet respect for the Nazis, because John Foster had exactly that. He had a quiet respect for the Nazis. I think he was told to keep it quiet in the public eye. But he was a Nazi. He met with Hitler. John Foster Dulles met with Hitler.
Should be expected if you're a Nazi, right?
Crazy. Dude, they didn't even blow up the Ford plants over there. That's what's super weird to me. You know what I mean? Just seeing
what is going on here?
The banking interests of Ford in Germany. They were not bombing the Ford plants over there.
When the Nazis invaded the Hamptons.
Prescott Bush and Brown Brothers Harriman, one of the main key players of banking here in America. I don't care who you are. You can look at any financial crisis. They're involved. BCCI all the way to 2008. Brown Brothers
and they're the ones who invented the national security state. Prescott Bush. If you can have Nazis all day unless they have infiltrators within our government, like
JJ,
Prescott
it's
Bush.
The same thing that Danny Castellero. That's
my point, sir. Thank you.
That's
Thank
the
you,
trail
sir,
he was
for
down.
Using your brain hole for God's intended purpose.
These are the people. This is the banking octopus.
These are the people
of global control.
I got the information, man. You need information. I got information.
They look. John Foster was liked what he saw with that regime. That's why they funded it. They thought, we got some there's some real promise here with what these Nazis are trying to do. We back it. And he was caught up in the appeal of the Nazi show of force in the rigor of their propaganda. And he liked it. And he was told to keep it quiet. But John Foster was a big fan of that. And you see that manifesting itself later in our wars that these guys were a part of. So make no mistake about it. John Foster was very much at the root of the Vietnam War. It was very much his war, and he was very much enthralled with the Nazis psychologically.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's crazy.
They are Nazis. And they bring us the National Security Act of 1947, which eradicated free speech in America and has only continued to eradicate more of it ever since. Sir, what is free speech to you, Tim? Or sorry, free speech. What is national security to you, Tim? This is National Security November. What is national security to you?
Well, that's okay. If we're going to follow this thread here, some people think that they were just doing what needed to be done for America to stay number one, to stay safe. And I think that's, that's national security, but we can't use it as an excuse for monsters, political monsters.
I agree with you, sir. So do me a favor. Where did national security touch you? Show me on the doll. Where did national security violate you? Because clearly it's a nebulous term that it violates everybody. It violates us at all times in any capacity. So if you don't mind, show me on the doll. We're national security.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's a good point.
Anything and everything, right? They're egotistical, narcissists.
That's what it's become, though, right? It literally is anything and everything.
It's. I mean, literally that whole apparatus, as you're talking
Patriot
about,
Act.
They're not merit based.
That's an evolution of it. Sure.
That's what happened in the 1880s that I'm looking into. Politics, especially, they were trying to get away from the merit-based system, where that you would actually have people that would come into office off the street. Random people would roll into office and start working on campaigns or what have you. They wanted away from that. That's where the Rockefellers come into play.
I hear what you're saying, sir. I hear what you're saying. I don't disagree. So why don't you do me a favor? Where did national security touch you, and show me on the doll?
Dude, national security touched me when I was born.
Yeah, I would just
real stabby son of a bitch.
I'd put a bow on it with this. I mean, make no mistake. Again, let's not forget the Dulles brothers and the just the dicks that they were. They were a part of the rise of the American deep state, 100%, and a manifestation of the American deep state is certainly this national security apparatus aura that you're talking about.
Yeah, the National Security Act of 1947, aside from eradicating free speech in America, we haven't had it since, and it's gotten worse. It's eradicated more and more over time. It created the U.S. Air Force, NASA, and those Muppets at Langley. That was fucking CIA. And it's all one organization still today. They all get financed that same act today. It's still one fucking organization. The disbursements of funds go therefore after. I don't even give a fuck who claims to have operational control. We have a star of Real World Season 3 in charge of NASA right now, sir. We live in a world of Muppets.
Yeah, we're in a battle for men's minds. To
quote Sean Duffy, star of Boston Real World Season 3, is currently our NASA administrator. We live in a world of Muppets. The guy who owns Rumble's our FBI director, right? The guy who used to do Fox on Saturday mornings is now our Secretary of War. We live in a reality TV star show of Muppets.
Why is that, JJ? Why do they want to control the media? Everybody says it's a free country. It's more communistic than it is of anything. You know what I mean? From what I'm gathering,
Donald Trump is the #1 reality TV star in world history. Look at the numbers of The Apprentice.
Oh yeah, it's a game. He's the showmaster.
Produced and we live in a world of Muppets, dude. Who knows what goes on behind the scenes? I'm willing to believe that Ark of the Covenant that Donald Trump's got in his fucking living room is the real one.
It's the real one in his crib, bro. That's the best place to hide it.
Because they're all wizards too, right? They do wizard stuff.
Hidden in plain sight, Tim. What do you think?
Whether it's the old John D. wizard stuff and Francis Bacon, as you all started out this conversation here tonight, I do thank you both you gents as always. I got new details as always as well, but I thank both you gents for your time and conversation and joining me, get a little GCD. And thank you folks to the interwebs for joining us, and not the least of which are welcome you here every time, so I can tell you to go fuck yourself. So as we bring this thing in for landing, I'll offer y'all gents some closing statements here on these matters. But I don't think the wizardry of Francis Bacon or John D. should be ignored amongst this crowd today, whether it's Donald Trump or anyone else amongst this political class.
Yep. Same car, different paint job, right?
Dude, you mean to tell me there's a burger element to all this, sir?
Do you have that clip? You keep saying it.
Free fries when you get vaccinated? I got vaccinated. You're saying I could get this? These delicious fries? Wait a minute. But there's also a burger element to this? Let me check with Bill Neathart. Is it too early in the day to eat a burger? No. This could be breakfast? Okay. I want you to look at this and think about, again, some people love hamburgers, some don't. Really want to respect all ways of life. But if this is appealing to you, just think of this when you think of vaccination. Vaccination. I'm getting a very good feeling about vaccination right this moment.
Let me check with Phil Retardo real quick. Was this a great stream? No, I appreciate it. That was I love that clip, by the way. I always have it on deck.
Yeah. Thanks. People need to. I don't want to be overly serious here, but people need to never forget that.
Be over serious, Tim.
But that was an actual thing. That was the mayor of New York checking in with Phil Bertardo to see if you could eat a burger that I were trying to tell me.
I remember. We were all there. It's
communism.
The pandemic of 2020. We were all there, and we should never forget. That's my point. Never forget
liquidation of liberty.
People are starting to forget what they did. I see it around me happening all the time. People are starting to forget what they tried to do in 2020.
Good thing I check in with Phil Bertardo from time to time. We don't forget around here.
State-controlled shots, brother. Can I say one thing about that real quick? State-controlled shots. So a guy I work with, he is actually, I know I'm not going to say his name or anything, but he's Guatemalan. In order for him to get his papers and his legal documentation of this country, he had to be vaccinated. He was already living here at the time, I guess illegally, but anyhow, he had to get vaccinated before he could become a United States citizen. So.
On that note, sir, I'd like to get your closing thoughts there, Landon. I do appreciate that, not only on tonight's conversation, but the gorgeous Jennifer Pritzker.
Her brother's a gambling expert, man. He's a shark. He's the Don. That's all.
Dude, how dare you, sir? How dare you? Cannot get, I don't care how much shit you put on that pig, dude. That is a man.
They, them, bat.
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
How dare you, sir? I don't care if it's. I'm embarrassed for the U.S. Army in general. Calling that a U.S. Army colonel.
I'm shaking in my boots, brother.
Her brother's in the Epstein files. You familiar with that one?
I've seen the name, I
think. But we will continue to follow the law, again, while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency.
What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
That. Madam Attorney General, the DOJ statement earlier this year saying that the files would not release mentioned the fact that the review of the documents and the evidence did not suggest that any additional investigation of third parties was warranted. What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information.
Look, man, I've got certain information, all right? Certain things have come to light.
Information that has come for information.
I've got information, man. New shit has come to light.
I've got information, man.
Kash Patel looks like a robot.
Dude, how can anyone take anything up it seriously, dude?
And by the way, I reserve my right to free speech to say that because, you know, his girlfriend's out there suing podcasters right now.
Yeah, she's a Muppet. Oh, nice. So, Tim, I appreciate your time as always, sir, in these conversations and your perspectives on these matters of ancient American anthologies in our discussions here and our matters of parapolitics today. And Bill Hicks is Alex Jones and Jim Morrison's Rush Limbaugh. I'm just going to throw in my propaganda. Do you have any closing statements for tonight's conversation, sir?
No. Enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on. My podcast is Sixth Sensory Podcast. Are we doing that part yet? I can wait.
Yeah, dude, knock it out, dude. Closing statements and plugs, man. Let's do it.
All right.
We're coming in for we can do a crash landing if you want.
Crash landing. I think I just.
Involved.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
Watch out, folks. They got dead.
No closing. No further closing statements from me, sir.
All right, Landon.
Yeah, Uncle Ted just put a crazy in the chat, but it's pretty funny. But anyhow, yeah, find me on the Daily Dissident, wherever you get your podcast. Good show. I actually enjoyed it, man. This was fun. I like talking.
You didn't enjoy the previous ones, dude?
No.
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
How dare you, sir?
I really enjoyed this one. This was this is one of my favorite topics. So I really enjoyed it.
I reciprocate your enjoyment, sir. I solicited or received a number of solicitations for the next installment following our National Treasure and Occult and/or Esoteric review. So I'm going to have to go ahead and maintain your gents' time for a brief period of time longer. Hold you hostage to tell you that we're going to have to be doing a sequel to that. National Treasure 2 and Occult and Esoteric review. Electric Boogaloo.
Yep. So we're going to be covering the second installment in that series.
Hey, I got a better idea. Let's cover the second installment in that series. No, I'm just saying a lot of folks thought that was a real barn burner. I agree. I appreciate both your gents' times and thoughts on that, and I would like
bridge
to
burner.
join me for
that
the
was
next
a bridge
one.
burner.
We're burning bridges, are we? Huh? I know a guy that burns bridges.
I burned it all, but bridges, nothing burns quite like a bridge does.
America's Secretary of War pastor, Pete Hegseth's pastor, Doug Wilson. Don't feed the feds and don't let them feed you. That's my best advice here in National Security in November. Landon, you'll be joining me for more of that on this Legend of Danny Castellero, right?
Yep, excited for that. I know. I for some reason I always go back to a lot of his work. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, you have to. He's involved with Danger Man, Michael Riconosciuto. The man who takes ownership for tanking the Nugan Hand Bank situation. Michael Riconosciuto went on deposition and said that he hacked the Nugan Hand Bank, stole $600 million of the CIA drug money. When that collapsed, who was on the board? Bill fucking Colby. Go figure. Who was running it? One of Colby's queers, Special Forces, John Michael Hand.
He met up with Tim Osman too. You know, Tim Osman.
Well, I wish they would have got. I wish they got some of that laser action that Ted got.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
Stay vigilant, folks. Tune in for more of these national security tales here in our Muppet world, and put both of your gents' links in the show notes.
Well, that's it. That's the show here, folks. So the next time you're out on the town, visiting your local watering holes, or perhaps just meandering around, and you hear the unmistakable sounds of metal clanking, and you spot signs of a disturbance, well, check your six. Look in that garbage can, 'cause you never can tell. The GCDs may be loose in your town.